Are we live?
Yes.
Crashed
And we're on. Hi.
Do you need that door closed, Kerem?
I can't. No, that's fine.
Well,
that's
he
fine.
said it was alright.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder now, producers think. I mean, this is another fabulous rambling start here.
I'm up for one, go for it.
Oh, let's do it. So because Theo just mentioned before the podcast started about contacting Netflix, we'll leave it at that. But it was quite funny. I went to this it was thing about like how to crack into these big events when you're an independent or whatever. But it was quite a fun thing where these guys had made this or were planning on making a series about Saladin, who fought against Richard the Lionheart. So it was sort of the Crusades from that side of things. And they done sort of like a taster trailer.
Saladin, was it Turkish? No, Saladin? No.
Well, from that sort of, not pre-Ottoman, so I can't remember what his dynasty is down after all these kind of.
Yeah.
But from, so he ruled over the Holy Land, so that, and that would have included,
Sorry, 1 second. Can you hear that noise?
Yeah.
You must have closed that front door.
Yeah.
So that's not very
So we're going to have to step out for
All right. He'll build up the story. We'll wait.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, what happened in the Crusades? Did we win?
I'll do my for you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's a little Monty Python thing.
Just talk about yourself.
How's things?
Terrible.
Well, I'm looking for hearing on monastery. How long were you in the monastery for?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, we're going to stop right there. He's back.
That's wait, we'll come back. I don't know my headphones on. Hold on. Sorry. Because again, this is for the people nothing been like this. Sorry, that for the people listening who don't want to see us in fabulous Periscope vision. I have to go and close the door.
Yeah.
Because Kerem, our fabulous producer, would, but he's kind of every week he has to build himself a little bit
Into a corner.
in the corner, with a big sign saying no girls allowed, apart from my wife or my wife.
Are we recording?
Yes, we are, and we are having technical
He's
difficulties.
fiddling with stuff now.
Have we just dropped audio?
No, in the live view.
This is the
Should we
best.
just start again?
Recording's fine.
But you know when somebody unplugs a big wire, it's all going, oh right, that's off, that's an off wire.
It looks important. It looks an important one as well. Yeah.
So anyhow,
I'm just trusting Kerem.
Yeah,
We're still recording.
So with this, it was about that we're going to go sort of break into Netflix with this thing. They showed us, and it looked quite good. And they'd done sort of almost like a sizzle reel trailer, so it wasn't, it's impenetrable to get into. So what they did, they made a short film about sneaking into the Netflix offices, which they then sent to them.
Yeah.
Which then got them a meeting.
Okay.
And you were like, oh my God, they did it. And they were like, but they didn't commission the show. And you were like, well, that was a fucking waste of time. That whole, I sound like I've run a bit smoothly. I mean, I'm putting on that for us, but I actually sound like I felt like I was going a bit hamstery in there.
So what was the take from that? It doesn't.
That was the thing. It was like, what was the point of this workshop?
You can't really. All you can do is get in contact with certain people.
Yeah, exactly.
And show them your eyes. That's all you can do.
But it was almost like, okay, so you got the face-to-face meeting with these people. That was it. But otherwise, you're just the same.
Well,
it was
and you had to go to such extreme lengths.
But it was also like, well, that was, but just in our, us sitting there in this workshop watching them give this talk, and we were like, so what was the why did that? Why was
they
that?
They were basically saying nothing, but it was funny. And you go,
it was a funny.
Have I paid for this?
But it was a funny. But however many minutes that took of me to tell, I'm very echoey. I don't know if that's.
I suppose you can tell it's a true story because it doesn't really have an ending.
Yeah, but it's almost the opposite.
Whereas if it was made up,
that would be somebody telling you, "Don't waste your time, mate."
It might as well. They were still kind of chipper. They were still sort of like,
it's sort of like be positive, but it's not going to work out.
Yeah,
that's what that story tells you. I mean, I could have been there and told them how to do it properly. I mean, I've done it 10,000 times over. It's fairly simple. It's just because nobody has to figure things out, so they look for other people, or they come up with stupid gimmicky ways to.
But it was quite a fun thing. I was like, oh, okay, this is working.
Effects. And then, did it work or not? That's all I care about.
Yeah, exactly. But that was the ultimate. Everyone else's ultimate take was.
What was this? A course?
No, it was like some workshop thing. It was
you went on the workshop.
Yeah, but there was. Sorry, it wasn't a workshop. Actually, it's a lie. It was at the Sheffield Documentary Festival.
So even though it wasn't a
There's
documentary,
something
they were
within
saying that it was one of the talks with it. So you've already paid, and you just go to however many talks and screenings you want to.
See, it's funny that people don't really know the ways how to do it.
But that was the thing. It was like, this is an alternative way, and they were like, well, it got us into the thing, but they didn't like the show itself, but they liked the idea
just
to
dress
get
up
the pitch.
naked outside. I mean, was it, wave you?
That's your solution to everything, though, Theo. You're just like, I'm just going to stand outside
if you just
and
get
wave
their
my willy.
attention, that means nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go King of Comedy route and like kidnap the chief
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Robert De Niro. Yeah.
Well, that looks like that's kind of they're doing a riff on that in this Joker film.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
you could probably, do you know what? You
That's
could
good,
probably
yeah.
get away with that. Do you know how sick the world, like stupid? You know, where you do something that's like illegal, and you would become a star. Do you know,
For the
you would
avoidance
nowadays.
of doubt, please do not go around kidnapping anyone to get.
Do
That's
not
what you
kidnap
want.
executives.
What happens
or
at the end of
people
that-
in general.
So that
Or
film,
anyone, yeah.
yeah.
the film you're referring to is the King of Comedy with
Yeah.
Robert De Niro
Yeah.
when he's desperate
Yeah.
comedian. What happens at the end? Doesn't he get a book deal or something?
Because all he
Spoiler
wants to
alert.
do is have like a 10-minute set.
Yeah.
On like primetime TV.
Yeah.
And eventually they show it. They cave in and they show his set.
Yeah.
Right, while the crime is still sort of.
I
happening.
think they let him go, and it's part of the kidnap thing. He's like,
Right.
okay, I'll let the dude go if you show my like 5-minute set, whatever.
Oh,
10-minute
okay,
set
right.
on this late show.
Yeah.
on this talk show, and he goes to a bar and sits in the bar and watches his set on TV.
Oh, he just wants to see it up
And he
there.
just wants to see it, yeah.
And what happens at the end? Spoiler.
That is kind of the end. And I
can't
think he
remember. I thought
just
something
he,
happened.
he
Yeah,
gets
I-
away with it. He doesn't go to prison. Though.
No, he
No.
gets jailed, doesn't he? I thought he gets
I
caught.
can't remember now.
I'm trying. I have seen
His
it. but not
girlfriend-
for
I
a
had
long
seen it.
time.
I
Yeah,
felt
his
a bit
girlfriend's
depressed. I
crazy.
thought there's no good point to this.
Yeah,
you want it to work out somewhere.
It's a really odd film.
Because at no point in the film is he a baddie. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't turn bad.
He's
Do you
just
think-
desperate.
Yeah. So
I mean, Jerry Lewis is great in it, though. He's just got the biggest,
remember.
like,
He's so-
most
he's-
fuck off.
yeah,
face
yeah,
that he,
yeah.
that he kind of did have.
he keeps
later
trying to
on
get his
in life, right?
attention. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Am I a bit echoey? I feel or it might just be my headphones. Maybe I'll turn them.
Switch
down.
your head. Oh, you might have it on too.
Yeah, maybe I'm too loud.
Okay.
It sounded a bit echoey.
Yeah. Right. So comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I said before we start, right, firstly, I left all my notes indoors. I didn't have time to go back and get them so I had to get here on time, which I didn't.
I know.
Um,
I did want to say, but
Yeah. Yeah. And you lot really did look like journalists from like in the different...
surely we'd have been rifling through the bins if we were.
Yeah,
journalists,
good point.
wouldn't
I should have realised that.
we? We'd have just been sat at home hacking someone's phone and then
Yeah.
denying it.
Tweeting awful things at 3 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Just making it up. 'cause-
So so I haven't got my notes with me, but so I'm gonna have to go from memory. But as I said before we start, it wasn't going to be a PhD in comic books because I'm sort
Oh,
of
well,
a
in that
lead
case,
weight
I'm off.
of sort of dragging you down and going, who's who, what's what.
yeah. Well,
But
it
I
can be
thought-
impenetrable, can't it? I think the
Oh, here he goes again.
what?
He's been dropping sexual innuendos. This is it to me.
What? Because I said impenetrable.
I didn't see that as sexual.
Oh,
No,
you
I
know,
didn't. No.
It's just on
You-
top of
it's
everything.
you, it's you,
maybe.
Theo.
Yeah, it's probably this bloody thing. Look, it's built
Viz.
in my mind. Yeah. So is that like an 18 rated Viz magazine? Because this is recent. I bought
That's
this.
actually a very good question. Well,
Is
I
it
mean,
18
Have a quick
rated?
flu. Is there anything in there you think that would be?
It
like,
is, yeah. I mean,
Whereas- and I'm just
do-
repeating the magazine. It has
do
got two
comics-
fat
do
slags in
comics,
there. That's got to be
do
a
comics
swear.
have ratings? I never really thought. about that.
yes. Well, they have they have guidance ratings on them.
Okay, it's a bit like computer games.
Yes,
Or
it's a bit
computer
like
games,
the computer games ratings, but it's not the official ratings thing. You don't have to be
Pippa.
a certain age to buy it, but they have guidance things. So there are things that they say this is suitable for a younger audience, this is suitable for a mature audience.
When I was looking them up, there was something. I think it was the CCA, the Comic Book Code Authority in
Yes.
the silver. Oh, that was the other thing. Silver Age.
Yeah.
There's the Silver Age, and they didn't explain what the Silver Age was.
Well, there's several ages. There's the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and the Modern Age.
And what did that refer to?
Time periods.
Right, nothing specifically to do with black and white. I thought that's what the silver thing was.
It's the Golden Age is usually the late 30s to
Oh, that late.
mid 50s.
Because they were saying they had the Comic Book Code of Authority, and there was a case in the 1920s. I'm not sure on the date, where they actually took comic books to a type of court and they had to defend themselves because they were saying it's like stuff computer games now. Basically, it leads to delinquency. There was a kid called Palmer, Junior Palmer. He killed somebody. I think it was like the 1920s. A kid, he killed somebody, like chopped the body up, and they found a stack of comic books. And it just went.
It's always the way, though, isn't it?
It went on.
If you read Catcher in the Rye, or if you listened to.
But it was a thing, and it just built onto the eventual
Yeah.
court case where they said, "Look, this is why." They even went down the colours are too vivid for children's eyes, it's making them hypersensitive to the world.
Apparently, 1954 was the inception of the comic book code.
Comic book code, that was it. Yeah.
And that was around I think a psychiatrist, one of them.
Yeah.
He wrote a book saying about the decadence, the degeneracy of degeneracy of ideals or whatever. And it was saying that comic books were highly immoral and teaching kids very, very poor moral codes and promoting anti-American values. I suppose this was, and they had a Senate hearing at the time. The comic books associated
1944. You kind of feel like maybe they had some other priorities there.
Well,
what with that war and all that?
Well, it's 54.
Oh, 54. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you said 44.
No, it's 54.
Yeah, the getting priorities in order. Yeah, it been 44.
But it was sort of McCarthyism and this idea of...
You've still got the Korean War then, haven't you? Or is that later?
That's later.
Just about.
Yeah.
I think Korean War was...
Not 50, surely that was later than then, was it?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Vietnam.
And they were very scared about them being censored or taxed as well, because what they do is originally why they were called comic books is so that they would come under the taxing of books rather than magazines.
Oh, like cake and biscuits.
Yeah, because it was less tax. And the earlier comics had prose sections in them, like prose stories, so that they could kind of get away with them being...
What do you mean prose stories?
Well, they'd have some comic strips, i.e. some panels and pictures, but they would also have a story, just like a short story.
No pictures.
Written.
Just like
a
normal
written short story about characters and stuff. And they would include that so that they could then be classed as a book.
So when was the, if we without being exhaustive, when was the first comic? When did they sort of emerge, or is it kind of like?
I heard like 1890 as a comic book, was an early comic book.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine.
But I don't know. Did it mean comic book then? It might just been something written.
People have used pictures to convey ideas since they've been drawing. You know what I mean?
The early one, they were called dime, penny dimes, or where they would just cost a dime.
Well, because you got that with the pulp sort of books, didn't you? That will only cost 25 cents or whatever, or something like that. And then
I only heard that recently, the term Pulp Fiction. I'd only known it as the magazine or the film.
The film.
It's only when I
was watching that last night
with the comic books, and they said pulp. I thought, oh, pulp. Oh, I get it now. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's just a term for disposable, this kind of trashy-ish, disposable kind of media and storytelling.
So, I think it was what was the code you just said? The
comic book.
The comic book code, yeah. So that what they were saying then, I think it was the 50s, it was, they weren't allowed to, they couldn't have sex. That was the main thing. You were not allowed to have sex. And they couldn't use the word horror or terror. That got banned for a while. Like the two horrors.
No vampires, no Frankensteins, no.
Well, that's
monsters.
interesting because in China, that's a big thing now in film, where you can't. So you can have lots of, you can have Transformers, you can have all this kind of stuff, but you can't have magic because it ties in with superstition.
Oh, okay, right.
So I think that's why. Maybe the first couple of Harry Potters weren't ready. I'm not even sure if any of them have been released in China because of that reason.
I don't know if it's on
Ghostbusters remake was banned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Lucky them.
Lucky them. Yeah,
they got.
Oh no!
I was reading something about North Korea, and they were saying why they don't like art, and I don't know if it's falls under the same sort of thing where they were saying that because art, it creates ambiguity and internal thought. Like, what is the meaning of that?
Yeah, I suppose
they only have literal things where that's a picture of a person. You can't have ambiguity in their art because it makes you think internally, and that is bad.
Well, yeah, because if you want to maintain a dictatorship, then you have to. Everything has to be black and white.
Yeah.
I think you could
sort of like with Animal Farm that we was talking about previously, where you go, well, it could mean that you can't. You would literally have to have a jump cartoon that has nothing in it.
But also, art can lead to satire.
Yeah,
Oh, here's a picture of. It starts off with here's a picture of the deer leader or whoever, not quite looking like they do, and then here he is looking a bit fatter than and
so
here's a silly haircut, and then it becomes you can do essentially a cartoon of them.
Yeah, it can't be a representation of anything else. It has to be. He says the pictures are just literal. That is it. You are not allowed to just sort of draw the sun. The sun might be the previous, all that sort of shit.
I like that things have to be literal for a country where something like Kim Jong. Who was the father? Kim Jong-il. Yeah, I think he get something like 18 holes in once, and when
no, that's now. Who are we now?
Kim Jong-un is now.
Yeah.
But I think when he
Kim
was
Jong-il.
born, there
was
were
Kim Jong Sun.
Yeah, it was the
as well.
first,
He was
wasn't it?
the
Then-
grandfather. Yeah.
then Kim Jong
Jong-il
Il was the father,
Un.
and then Un is the son. And
Cheeky.
and so we're just going to carry on. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So Kerem's just doing some
Some mixing on the
He
fly.
is, he
there,
is.
yeah.
I don't even know if anyone else heard that. I think that's just us in our headphones.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
no.
but yeah, so it was like, when he was born, there were 4 rainbows and a great big
yeah.
glacier cracked, but everything else has to be literal.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, with the North Korean families, that they allude, there is a lot of things that they're alluding to tradition and religious things and stuff. So they're almost the embodiment of the Sun King or something.
Well, it's like how in ancient Rome the emperors after death would often be made gods, and it's almost that. I don't know if that is quite the case.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're. I think they're certainly revered, and there is a divinity about them. But
Yeah.
I don't know if they're. I don't think they're specifically. Any listeners in North Korea can email us and let us know.
We've got a lot of the surrounding countries, I reckon. We've got a few of the
Yeah, we do
surrounding-
have listeners in Vietnam. I mean, no, that's not close,
Singapore?
but it's in the Far East.
Yeah.
So we got
sidetrack.
comics around about the turn of the century, the last turn of the century.
Well, I mean, there have been satirical comics. I mean, famously Punch and stuff. And
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
there was a very famous one in Germany as well for a while. I forget the name. In sort of the
Die Punchen.
Yeah, maybe. The second newspaper, by the way, the second newspaper ever printed was called List of Known Jews.
No, was it really?
What?
That was 15 something. That was after the Gutenberg Press. Yeah. Anyway, a little fat there. So yeah,
That's horrifying.
comic books is
But just the name of it, just
Because there's a sinister undertone of that, isn't there?
Yeah, if you
That's
look deep enough, yeah.
It might as well be called "Here's where you can get them."
It was
Yeah.
the wording of it.
That's
the list
horrifying.
Of all
I
the
swear, they would like the two very first two newspapers were in Germany because that's where the printing press was
Yeah,
developed.
it was, yeah.
I've forgotten the name of the first one. The second one
Was it something cheerier, please? The first one, like let's not immediately. Everything always
Wonder
gets
what the
made
first
horrible,
one was.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
It might have been Berlin Express or something.
I would just hope it would be something really nice.
That was a
They
hell of
were
a
like,
leap, though, from one paper to the next.
But that's
It's a bit of an
really.
extreme.
That's. I know it's. So was that 16th century or 15th century? Did you say?
16th, I think.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Gutenberg Press was, when was it, 15?
Oh yes, there would be. Yeah. So I know it's a long time ago, and often you look at, you read about history and you think, God, we think it's bad now, and it's just wholesale slaughter, and then you read something, but that sent a chill down my spine.
Yeah, it was the wording that got me.
I was like,
List
that
of-
is the most sinister.
It was the
thing.
all.
Yeah,
List of
all. Yeah,
all
and it was
Jews.
just a list of just the yeah.
So
Oh,
you don't
that's
know what the
horrifying.
first one was. It just would have been just a standard.
I can't remember. I think it was called...
So in comic book terms, and where would your brain go back to what you would know as a comic book?
Well-
So 20s and 30s was there's something there.
yeah, there was certainly... I mean, comics typically now are dominated by the superhero genre.
Right, yeah.
And you think typically, so the superheroes, when you think comics, you really think superheroes, dudes and tights, people...
Because didn't they used to be cowboys? It used to be much more diverse.
I like
didn't it?
detective-
Cowboys
Post-war, yes.
Right,
But
yeah,
actually, interestingly, there was a big boom in the 30s and 40s of superheroes, and that's where you have people like Captain Marvel, like Shazam. This has been the film that's just come up. Superman, Batman, lots of characters that are around now. Aquaman, I think, came along, and Namor. Post-war, the superhero thing kind of died out, and it went to a lot of cowboy comics,
Right.
Detective stuff, sci-fi, horror, and romance.
I was listening to it was about the first Superman magazine when they didn't have a formula quite yet. It was just random characters and which one caught on. And they said that the editor, when he first saw the first Superman one, he said, like, this is rubbish. There's no way they're going to believe there's a bloke that can pick up a car. Like, it was too unreal.
Well,
and they had him like
didn't use to
ripping
fly. He didn't use to fly.
phone
That was
books.
because he used to jump over the
He used
buildings.
to jump over
but
buildings,
It was
yeah.
because in the early sort of TV shows of it, they said, "Oh, that looks too stupid and it's
Yeah.
hard to do. Can he fly?" And the comic book
Right,
writer went,
yeah,
"Yeah, okay."
yeah.
So it's odd that it's kind of come the most.
Well, they said
famous thing
after
you think of
Superman, they realised, that thing works, and they said that there was a template where it was either you had to take an adjective and then put a man or woman on each side of it, or an animal with a man or woman, and that's what they were called. And there were 6 different superpowers that you could pick from, and then different. I think it was 4 different types of colour, and you would just grow man, woman.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's what would it be? Flying, super strength.
Yeah. And he just said, "You man or woman on each
senses,
side,
yeah.
or if you're an animal, you put man or woman on each side, and there's a certain amount of colours and that you could use for the uniform and a certain amount of powers." But they said, yeah, then it just there was everywhere. I think that there was somebody called Arrow that came after Superman, which was basically a knockoff of him.
Shazam, when he was Captain Marvel, was a knockoff. They won, didn't they? They won a copyright.
Superman sued, the DC sued Shazam.
Yeah, not Superman personally.
So the Shazam
Fossils.
thing, I don't know anything about it other than what I've seen in the film. So is that not a direct copy of? Is that not supposed to be a copy of Superman? It is its own thing, is it?
Shazam actually, the legality behind it's horrendously complicated. We could sit here and talk about it for hours. But yeah, Shazam was, I think, actually first.
But there was his name is Shazam.
His name is Captain Marvel, but they have to call him Shazam now for legal reasons.
Oh, right.
Because of Marvel. Marvel decided to...
Who else is Marvel? What other characters? Hulk and all that?
Hulk.
Okay, so
Avengers,
that's Marvel.
Fantastic Four, yeah.
And he was called Captain Marvel.
No, Shazam was in a different comic. This gets very common.
Yeah,
so he's Captain Marvel, but he just says Shazam. That's what gives him his
It was
power.
the name of the wizard.
Yeah. So
right,
basically, it's like Banana Man eats a
And
boy
no,
eats a banana.
he's
and
not
becomes-
supposed to be part of Superman.
No, but because he was so similar, they sued and won.
Right.
So they basically took it over, didn't they? And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
And
but retired it because they went, well, we don't need two Superman.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So they retired it. In the intervening years, Marvel came along because Marvel came out of different comic books, basically joining together. I think.
Oh, really?
Something
Yeah,
like that. They were
it's
bought out.
60s, yeah.
Yeah, and so then they came up with their Captain, because it was like, well, what, DC don't care about this thing, and they came up with Captain Marvel, but I think it was Marvel, wasn't it? It was spelled differently, but it was pronounced Captain Marvel, and then so at that point, then they decided to bring Captain Marvel. DC decided to bring their Captain Marvel out of mothball, but obviously Marvel will go, well, look, it doesn't matter that you had it first. Our brand is Marvel.
Yeah.
And so they settled on something, didn't
Oh,
they?
right. It's the Marvel word was causing the problem.
Yeah, because copyright reasons.
And what's Shazam's powers? Superman, basically.
He's a 12-year-old boy who says a magic word and then transforms into a superhero adult.
Oh,
but he
like Superman taking off the cloak, he turns into an adult. Or is he always a boy?
It's sort of like you think like Banana Man. It's a little boy and then he eats a banana and becomes Banana Man.
Oh, really?
It's the same idea.
Oh, okay.
It's just whatever.
Oh.
It could be anything. He could have just drunk coffee and become Coffee Man. But it's
Have you
just they
seen
chose,
Shazam?
No, apparently
Have
it's
you
quite
seen
good
it?
fun though.
I have not. It looked. I love the trailer.
Who's the baddie? There's always a baddie.
Oh, it's Tom Strong. Who I love it. Tom Strong.
Who's
You
he?
mean Mark Strong?
Mark Strong. Tom Strong's a comic book character. Yeah, Mark Strong. Love a bit of Mark Strong. Always willing to see him. And they're not making him wear a wig as well, which is great. He's just freewheeling bald. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loud and proud.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it. Is that not part? You're not bothered about the characters? You're not.
I just didn't get around to seeing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Will you be seeing it
I will. I do want to. Yes.
and be reporting on it?
It's weird because it came out in ironically, Captain Marvel came and did huge business, but there was only a short gap between then Avengers Endgame, and they were like, and we'll fill that superhero slot before, because after Endgame there's no point, no one's going to come see this. So they were like, boom, they did very good business. I don't think they made anything like either of those films made, but it did very good. I think it didn't cost us
What do you
much.
think is going to happen with the superhero thing now?
It'll just keep going until it'll eventually probably run out of steam at some point.
And what's the company that has been putting out Avengers?
Well, it's Disney, and then it's Marvel. Right. It's Marvel Films, a division of Disney, I guess.
Have they got another big sort of group of...
Well, they haven't got...
Are we going to start seeing these sort of long-term filmmaking now, like as a purpose, not sort of accidental?
Yeah, I think so. I think you'll see a lot of people... You'll see a bit more of that.
And each one,
but you have to get it right, because DC with their films got it wrong because they rushed, because they had the Superman...
Man of Steel. Yeah.
Man of Steel, thank you, yeah. So they had that, and it did quite well, but it was kind of mixed reviews to critics, and then... very short, because
I hated that film.
Really? I didn't mind it.
It's not a bad film, but I just hated their interpretation of the character.
I did think with by Man of Steel, by Justice League, they'd kind of got it right. They were like, Superman. They were like, hey, this guy that we've got, who's really handsome and charismatic and got great comic timing and just seems to be really quite like a upbeat person. Should we maybe like make use of that? Because, Superman's sort of an upbeat character and hopeful and everything like that. And
he fucking smiled.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Superman isn't dark and brooding.
Yeah, and then they gave him 10 minutes of that, and you were like, this is the best bit of Superman he's ever been. Yeah. And now he's not doing it anymore.
And he turned up and he was like, don't worry, guys, it's Superman. And I was like, yay!
Yeah, that was my favourite bit of that film.
Yeah.
Even though you knew he was going to turn up and save the day, hilarious when he turned up and like fucking whacked her.
Well, I'm a big fan of truth.
Yeah.
And justice.
Oh yeah, that was cringe.
Like, yay!
But it was like, oh, you mean in the proper one? Yeah, sorry, I thought you meant in the oh no, what's he say? He's like, I'm an American. I was born in Kansas. It's like, yeah. But yeah, in the when he turns up and who's the bad guy? It's not Darkseid, is it? It's
it's the big
CGI man.
Yeah, all CGI man.
Yeah,
no, it wasn't Darkseid. It was the thing.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
There we go,
I can hear something. Can you close that door?
I'm just like the skivvy today.
It's right by the door.
You're right
That's
there,
what
that old chestnut. Hold on. I'm going to take
you.
my microphone with me, so I'm not being interrupted anymore.
Okay.
I won't be ignored.
You're
I'm
still-
He's doing his
stepping out
rock
of
star. He's
frame.
become a rock star now. He carries the mic.
Yeah, exactly. This is
Close that
look
up.
at
So I can hear things happening next door.
And he turns up and you get the Superman theme, you get all of that, and then that's it.
It was lovely.
I'm hoping you can remember this story that I had written down because it was so great. I was looking up like stories about the original Superman, and he did kill people, didn't he? He'd take them off the mountains and drop them off. There was like strike breakers that he would kill.
Oh,
They were saying when he used to kill people. But anyway, this story.
He did stuff and he didn't care.
Right.
Like there was a couple of times, like in the earlier ones, where he sort of pushed people off things.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that guy just fell off a 40-story building.
Well, I heard that when they created Batman, he was supposed to be. They wanted him to be a superhero, but they wanted him to be more dark and brooding. And he wanted to have the mind of Sherlock Holmes. That's what they were saying. He had to be somebody that thought very deep. But the story.
But he's the world's greatest detective, is the thing. But they never do that in the films. They never do.
Oh, is that
very
is actually
rarely.
part of the thing? Is it?
that's what they
Ah,
constantly
there you
keep
go.
saying. Yeah.
So the story was about, and they copied it in Unbreakable. The story, there was a kid who went to one of these conventions with his dad's gun, and he was going to shoot the Superman impersonator. Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh no. Right. So
Sounds cool.
Nate, give me some Superman names of the real people.
Are the actors?
Yeah.
So George Reeves.
No, 50s. Christopher.
There's Christopher Reeves. Yeah.
There was
No.
George Reeves and Christopher Reeves.
50s, 60s, 40s.
I mean, George Reeves was the only other one because he was
Reeves,
killed,
I was
but not.
No, so what happened is, so you can read it. So the kid had gone
Douglas
to-
Fair? No, Douglas Fair.
No, it was something Reeves. I think it was Reeves.
You're just naming people.
Who was the first,
yeah,
who was the
naming
first
old chaps.
Superman on
Well,
the screen?
I don't know.
Why?
George Reeves was certainly the famous. I don't know.
Yeah,
If
I
he
think
was,
it's George Reeves.
I mean, I'm fairly certain.
So-
I put it like 20.
Yeah, you did.
So this they went to this convention where he was dressed up as Superman, and his dad was just battering the fact of him being a Superman, it's all bollocks and all that. The kid had brought the gun with him. I think he was a 10-year-old, and went in front of the crowd, pulled the gun out, and went to shoot him. And he said the guy didn't know. The article was the guy mentioning this had happened at one of the conventions. The kid had pointed the loaded gun at him and said, "Like, I'm going to show to my dad that you are Superman. You're real." And this is what they copied in Unbreakable. The kid's got the gun, and he said, "I had to think quick." And he said, "Look," and this is with the gun pointed at him. He said, "I am Superman." He said, "And if you try and shoot me, the bullet's going to bounce off and it's going to kill somebody." So the kid didn't shoot it, but he said, "Yeah, it scared the shit out of him." But thinking out of a quick way, he said, "Yeah, I am Superman. Yeah, I is real."
Because they use that in the. I wonder if that's the reason why in the screen test for Superman.
Have you got
2,
your phone on? Could you
Sorry,
Google the name of that Superman kid shooting real life, something like that?
Oh god! Well, in this day and age, like Google shooting doesn't. But in the
Kid with gun. I mean,
for Superman as a screen test, where to pair up, they'd already cast Christopher Reeve, but as the screen test, one of the things they did was have all these different actresses come in and do a scene where they find out he's Superman, because they planned to film Superman and Superman 2 back to back, but they got halfway through 2 and started running out of money, so they were like, right, just go finish 1 and we'll come back to 2 later. Anyhow, in the screen test, she points the gun at him as Clark and says, I'll shoot you and everything. He's like pleading and everything like that. And she's like, no, because I know you're Superman and I know it's going to bounce off. And so he kind of goes, Clark could have been killed if you do that. And she goes, it's not loaded. Yeah. Which I kind of think is bullshit, because I'm like, wouldn't he know that if he's Superman? Because I know he can't see through lead, but you could still see in the chamber.
You could create something.
But they use that just as a screen test. Oh. But then when they came and did a second version, so they did Superman 2, the original director was replaced, Richard Donner. He had a falling out with the producers. And they got, because of the way you have to credit directors, they had to reshoot so much of the film that some of his ideas were jettisoned. And then there was what was known as a Richard Donner cut, where he got to then remake it how he planned. and he put, because they couldn't go back and film it because obviously a lot of time has passed, but B, obviously sadly Christopher Reeve is no longer with us, and in fact now more recently neither's Margot Kidder. But they used to because he wasn't happy in the Superman 2, the original version. It's very goofy. He trips on a rug and his hand goes in a fire, and you're like, that's a bit cringe. So they put that back in because they were like, that's kind of better. It shows off the chemistry between the characters a bit more. It also means that she's not an idiot and only finds out because he trips.
Right, yeah.
She's the Pulitzer Prize winning journalist or whatever, so she finds out through deduction, and so she's not just a fucking idiot in the background going like, can't tell that he got the glasses on. But I mean, it's because it's test footage. He's got like a different haircut. He's not as like up and everything. He's got the wrong glasses. But I mean, they begin with a disclaimer saying, look, some of this is test footage and whatnot, but just to make something like a coherent version. But maybe that's where they got the idea from. This
would surprise me.
From this,
who in chronologically wise, what happened? Superman, Batman. Who were those early days ones?
I think the Guinness Book of Records,
or who were the later ones? I should say. Who came along later? Who were the newer ones? Because you got Aquaman and all that. Are they new?
No, Aquaman's quite old. I mean, the DC, most of the big established, especially the DC heroes, mostly the ones you think of, really. Most of those were late 30s, sort of early 40s.
They go through periods. I mean, they get mothballed for a while. So Superman did for a little while. Captain America did for quite a long time, didn't he? I think he was during the war, and then they had him. He kind of just, because it was like, well, what's the point? He's fighting in Second World War. It's not
after the war. He was they discontinued the comic. People weren't interested in superheroes, and then he came back for issue 5, I think, of Avengers. So he was suddenly all the sudden retcons, and they were like, no, he's just been frozen, and here he is again.
And do each country have comic books?
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean,
they're not all reading Batman. I mean,
in Britain, there was a Captain Britain, wasn't there?
Oh yeah,
was there? But you think 2001
and the superhero team. I think Excalibur was the British superhero team.
Yeah. There were quite a few. I mean, I think it's almost like the mirroring the entertainment industry as a whole, where everyone has their own thing, and then the American version becomes the most popular.
I'm slightly worried that we've got Viz. I mean, I don't know what that says.
I was curious why you brought Viz. I would say this to me, because I suppose that's maybe where comics perhaps.
Is there any? Could you read a couple of? Is there like an?
Well, that might be a copyright issue rather than.
Is there an index with like all the names of the characters?
Well, it does say on the front cover. If we read it, it says "Fat Slags."
Right. Hang on. This is just a modern day mag. Is there a date on there?
This is Viz.
I bought it last year for the thing we were filming. It's not my
issue number. Oh, November 2017.
Oh, fucking hell! It was 2 years ago.
Exactly.
All right, so go on.
The world's become more woke.
This is the characters:
Fat Slags, 8 Ace, Roger Melly, Militant. Hey, Sid the Sexist, Mrs. Brady, Biffa Bacon, Big Vern, Prince Wooly. Oh, no, Prince Wooly. Willy, but I didn't know he was Prince now. Willy. So it's sort of
is that what?
Like hour. So it's like there was a so it's written in kind of sort of Scottish kind of slang. So talking about things like getting their muckle-twa-handed sword and that kind of thing, which is a very big two-handed sword. Evangelical, Drunken Bakers, and Gilbert. Prepare to be amazed as we take you inside the chip shop of the future. Yeah, I didn't really know,
chip shop of the future.
Because you said, this week we're going to be talking about comics. I was like, that's cool. I didn't expect you to bring in Viz.
Well, that's my only thing I had. I'd saved it because I didn't want to chuck it in the bin from what we were filming.
Yeah.
The Sexist. So how's that still allowed now, like with Me Too and all that?
But I think I guess it's taking the piss, isn't it? Is it not?
Of itself, it's mocking a tiny...
I only know it from Profanosaurus. I don't read this per se.
It's wrapped up in a layer of irony.
But the swearing, look at that. Read that.
Oh, yeah.
Right, I'm just showing you, this is off of Two Fat Slags. Look, it's just words, so we get away with it. Just read the last, what would you call it? The last
speech bubble?
The last speech bubble from the scene. And that's I bought that in the news.
I like I'm being.
Go on, read it. Yeah. Go on, read it and agree with it. Tacitly agree with it.
Don't wait for the translation. Answer me now. Thank Christ if that lanky fucker on the thank Christ for that lucky fucker on the end. And he said he'd just take a hands on approach to business. I bet he does, the dirty sod.
So they swear in that.
Yeah.
And that's not like an over 18 thing. Or maybe it is.
Well, I don't know if anyone... there's a very big, long-running comic in this country, 2000 AD.
Oh, yeah.
And that was something I used to read. Me and like all my friends, we used to read that when I was like 10 or 11, and it was horrifically violent and very, very anti-establishment and very kind of really subversive in its politics.
Yeah.
And like it was one of these things. I had to read it in secret because my mom didn't want it at the house because she was like, "What the fuck are you reading?" Because it was just gore and violence, and I'm not particularly into that, but it was just it felt like something kind of super, it felt like something naughty and adult, and I just it's just I'd sort of have to hide it. My mate would give it to me, and I just have to hide it in my house and like secretly.
So instead of porn.
Yeah. That was my porn basically.
What was your first magazines that you bought? Have you got those things I can have a look at?
They're in
comics,
They are.
I just want to look at them.
They are in my
Just a
bag.
question.
I suppose. Yeah. I suppose I started reading.
Can you remember the first one?
It was a Transformers, Marvel UK Transformers.
Oh, so that's comic book. I didn't realise.
Yeah.
And when was that? When did you buy that?
I think I was about 7 or 8.
I remember them being a cartoon. So were they a comic book before then? No, there must be. Yeah.
I think the cartoon came first.
Oh, okay, right.
Well, the toys came first, and then the cartoon.
They're probably done in
in tandem. Yeah.
Because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a comic first, wasn't it? I think.
Yes.
Oh, it was a comic first.
Yeah.
I think it's just everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, people turn that down. Loads of people turn that down, and you just
it's
be
an odd
kicking
one.
yourself.
You go that.
Well, that's why, because it's like they're turtles and they're mutant and they do
That's
ninja.
what annoys me about anything starting any business. You go, that doesn't work, but it did. Turtle, pick anything.
Yeah.
Why a turtle? So are these your comic books?
Yeah.
This is your personal. I mean, we are doing this podcast in honor of you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Because of you. So,
So Charles has brought in a selection of comic
So
books.
Captain America, is that the one who the blonde fella plays? No,
Yeah, that's Chris.
he goes in a machine and.
Yep. Yeah,
So that's what he used to look like. Oh, he still does though. He puts the hood up, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So Captain America annual, and these haven't been opened.
They have been, but I
Okay.
put them in bags and boards.
Kept them in good nick.
You bagged and boarded them.
Yeah, yes.
And there's a date on this one. It says $4.99.
That's a relative. That's I think from a year or two ago.
Because this here that I'm holding, the Ultimate Graphic Novels Collect, this is one of those you sign up, isn't it? Like a subscription-y type. Is that right?
Yeah, I bought that off Amazon for a couple of quid.
Yeah, but I think it's because it says number 35. I think you can collect.
There's on the front of this actually the comic book with Superman on it. You've got Bizarro #1, and he's dressed up as Superman.
Yep, that's the Bizarro Superman. Yes.
So who's he?
He's from the Bizarro universe. He's the opposite Superman.
robot.
Yeah.
So you know him. Okay. And
not
what's
personally.
the Bizarro universe?
It is opposite world.
Right,
You'd
give
have
me some
hair.
context. Yeah, give me some context.
Well, Superman. He's the sort of bad Superman, and he's the complete opposite. So he's stupid. He is not a great guy, and he doesn't care.
And how does that universe come about? Like, where does it originate from? Like,
it's just a parallel universe.
it's just there.
That's a big part of comics is parallel because it also allows them to be like, right, what if?
Because okay, basically what I like about comics is that they are very, very bizarre and they are fucking weird, and that can put people off a bit.
Yeah.
But I like it because they really just go for it, and they have very strange ideas, and they allow these writers and creative people to just kind of just go with it and do something different with these characters. And every couple of years, every 4 or 5 years, they paint themselves into they write themselves into a corner, and they completely reset the character, and they go, okay, we're going to put it all back to where it was, and the witch turns it back, or parallel universe, or time travel.
But that's just purely so we can milk it some more. That's
Well, it's also because you don't think it's going to go. It's the same way with James Bond. They never thought it was going to go on for 60 years.
Right,
did they?
yeah,
Or
so it
how
wasn't
long
set
it's
up
been.
to
Yeah,
be.
exactly. So you end up writing these stories, and you go, okay, well, we've gone everywhere we can with this. He's killed everyone. He's married or divorced.
But that I've seen that's the one that moves his arms in. And
Doctor Strange.
That's
That is.
strange.
He doesn't look anything like him.
Well, it
goes back to what I keep saying about men. They've got rid of men. Like, he looks like a bloke. And now, I thought, I'm not being funny when I say this, right?
Yeah.
It's not offensive.
Well, we'll be the judge of that. You've got to say the
Hang
thing.
on.
Yeah.
Will be the-
If there's a but, if there's a but here,
Right, not
just finish the
offensive.
sentence.
I didn't go and tell somebody, look, I just thought it when I saw it.
Yeah.
I thought when I saw, who's the robot?
I need to the Terminator.
No,
need more
nowadays.
information.
The bot who wears the suit.
Oh, Iron Man, yeah.
Iron Man, yeah.
Tony Stark.
Who plays him?
Robert Downey Jr.
Right. When I first saw that,
Yes,
right,
Grandpa.
just looking, not
Yeah.
knowing anything, comic anything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the way he was moving and whatnot, I thought, they've introduced a gay character.
I guess Downey Jr. is quite sort of flamboyant, isn't he? And kind of a little bit.
Yeah,
camp.
he's just his movements and I thought he'd be like a fashion designer, the way he was sort of moving and flicking his hand and thing. And I thought, is that trying to be cool?
You're just
They're trying to be
stereotyping
cool
now, aren't you?
No, but that's what I thought. I'm just telling you my thought at the time. Obviously, it's wrong. I'm just saying that I just thought, why have they chosen?
When you
when I hear him, he looks quite scary and like me.
Yeah, he's meant to be.
But when I think about the guy playing him,
Benedict Cumberbatch,
he looks like a nerd version of that.
I think that's a slightly older version because they do like, for instance, with Iron Man now, they draw him a bit more like Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, because it's with Nick Fury, isn't it? They did the same.
And Nick Fury's turned black. I mean, Nick Fury was
originally played by David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, indeed, in the TV movie. Yeah, very good. And now
I've got some nerd creds.
Yeah,
not full blown.
But nowadays, he's literally turned black and he's Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, they changed it.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Because didn't they say, can we draw him like you now?
Yeah.
After
I suppose it's good because they're just ignoring the fact it's not a deal.
But it's also I think comics have for a long time been ahead of the curve in terms of going, whatever, doesn't matter.
So we've got Venom. I didn't know it was a comic book character. Venom the film.
Yeah, it's related to he's in.
I was going to say he looks like, is that a mix between Venom and Spider-Man there?
Yeah, well the idea is that originally it was the symbiote arrives on Earth. Symbiote, sorry. And latches onto Peter Parker, ends up with it. So that but then he separates himself from it and it ends up with Eddie Brock.
So there's going to be a film, is there, with a Superman?
Well, because this is the thing.
Venom.
This was the question about the Venom film. Was everyone saying, well, hold on, how do you have Venom? How does Eddie? Because in all the continuity, I think the one thing that people know about Venom, whether you read the comics or not, is that it ends up with Peter. It starts with Spider-Man and then goes on to this other people and takes them over instead.
Well, he's a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's sort of like almost. So we're just showing on.
Yes, it's a technical crew. That's the one. It's much better there. There you go, Venom, Spider-Man.
Yeah, so it's so everyone was saying it's because it's almost like in fact, as we do have now a Joker film coming that doesn't have Batman in.
No.
The walking things. It does look quite cool. I'm sort of approaching that with an open mind.
Because the concept, I was like, well, that's.
Is this one of those origin stories? Is that what it is? And it's eventually going to be.
That seems to be what they're going for. But then there's a lot of people saying like, oh, he's not going to be the Joker. He's going to be in the same way that Joker started off as the Red Hood, but there were other people who were the Red Hood anyway. Right. So they're saying, oh, could it be that he's the inspiration for the actual? We'll see like some kid going. Yeah, like, everyone else is like horrified by this guy, and there's one kid who's
looking.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, it's got Thomas Wayne.
Yeah. What's his face? Baldwin, isn't it? Alec Baldwin.
So I'm looking at this other one, the Daredevil, the man without fear. So what's his superpower?
He's blind.
He's blind.
But
and a lawyer.
Again, ahead of its time, disability.
Yeah. But often, it was the idea that his other senses are heightened, aren't they? Isn't it also because he was blinded by chemicals?
Yeah. So the chemicals sort of gave him heightened hearing and stuff. So he can sort of sense things and hear things. And then he became some dirty dark ninja as well. So,
and what type of people? It looks like he's just fighting normal people here.
Yeah, he's a general crime. He's one of the ones they call the street level.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Okay.
So you get your sort of Superman who fights something from another dimension or a great big beastie or whatever, or has to go punch the moon or something, and then you get I don't think he's ever punched the moon. He probably has somewhere actually, but then you get the sort of what they call the street level vigilante type,
right? Yeah,
superheroes like Daredevil, like Punisher, those kind of people.
Because I got confused when I was watching what I liked. Oh God, what's the film where they get assassinated? All the superheroes. The film Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
Where there was I couldn't figure out who's supposed to have a superpower. And
the only one who actually has any real superpowers, as we would normally understand them, is Dr. Manhattan. I mean, Ozymandias has very lightning quick reactions.
But who was the Batman fella in it?
Night Owl 2.
That's got to be a copyright issue, surely. There,
no, because it's DC.
It's the same company. Okay,
and these are based on the Charlton Comics characters,
which is what
they were a company in the 40s that went bankrupt.
Okay.
DC bought the rights to all these characters, and they were Alan Moore was going to use those exact characters. But eventually DC said no, because we might want to use them for other things. So he used sort of facsimiles.
I mean, they're intentionally archetypes. So you look at that and you go, oh, that's kind of Wonder Woman. Oh, that's kind of Superman.
That Batman, that's too close. I mean, that's ridiculous.
But it doesn't matter. It's owned by the same people. But it's also meant to be, this is What If.
It's supposed to be a satire on the superhero comics.
Right, okay, I get it. And who was the other one? The one that goes to jail, the detective, like
Rorschach.
Rorschach, yeah. Who is he? Hasn't got any superpowers, does he? I couldn't figure it out.
He's
He
just
smells.
crazy.
He's the down in the ground.
Yeah. They all are. The idea is they all kind of are. They're not, because in this reality they're only fighting real. I mean, I think in the more so in the book itself rather than the film. I haven't seen the extended cut, but in the book they sort of allude to that because which happens in quite a few comics that they reference that actually does it just become escalation. So you end up with people, because I think in the comic book, because it's the first Night Owl, isn't it? It's meant to be the guy who becomes the first or one of the first masked vigilantes. Because the other is they're, fighting their policemen or whatever, or they can be anybody, and they're just sick of all the crime, so they take it upon themselves. And then that means other people decide to be like, oh, if there'll be superheroes, I'll be supervillains. And that's kind of
So in The Watchmen, all those characters, are they comic book heroes? Or like somebody? Or is it just it's all locked into its own world? It's nothing.
It's a
You've
separate...
got a couple of women, haven't you?
It's complicated. It was a separate thing. It was just a story within itself.
Right, I see.
But recently, they have integrated it into the DC universe. And currently, they have turned up with... so Superman and Batman and all the major DC players have turned up because Dr. Manhattan is doing stuff behind the scenes and he's altered reality.
Who's Dr. Manhattan, the blue fella?
Yeah, the blue lad,
bloke.
yeah.
Okay.
the guy you sometimes see is Willie and sometimes not.
I never noticed that in the comics, and
you don't.
Very distracting.
Because
I
think does he have under? Because sometimes in the film sometimes he's naked and sometimes he has pants, and then I can't remember in the comic if it's the same deal.
He starts off having clothes, and then as he becomes more detached, he just doesn't care.
Oh, okay, right.
I mean, to be fair, he does turn up at the funeral in clothes.
But how has he got his own
good,
comic book then? Or is he just? Has he got his own line of comics? The blue fella.
They did some prequel. I mean, Watchmen was very successful. Watchmen was just supposed to be a sort of a mini series, and just on its own thing, completely independent, standalone thing. It was very successful, very influential. They did some prequels to it that were okay, and now they've done a sequel. And
because how can he have an enemy? I mean, he can just do what he wants.
Well, that's sort of the idea, but he doesn't care about people. As he becomes more powerful, he sees less. Because
I'd see more him as a baddie, even really.
Kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, he's sort of his ambivalence makes him.
The two people I liked out of that, I couldn't do all the other.
Rorschach, I knew you'd like.
No, well, who's the guy with the cigar? You just didn't give a shit.
Oh, the comedian.
Him.
So the rapist and the war criminal.
I forgot about that bit.
Yeah.
And the war criminal.
Why is he a war criminal?
Because he flamethrowers civilians.
Because he just
left, right,
murdered.
and
Yeah,
centre,
he
and
I
murdered.
can't
so
remember
many
why I
people.
liked him, but I liked him.
And he killed JFK. It's heavily insinuated he killed
Yeah.
I
JFK.
think he just didn't give a shit.
But that's in the film, isn't it? I think is it?
Well, he makes a joke. It's not shown in the comic, but he makes, don't ask me where I was, and I was in Dallas on 1964.
And the blue fella, I agreed with things we were saying. Like bollocks to it then.
Just let everyone
No one
die.
listens, no one does anything. Who gives a shit?
Well, because his point is that because he sees time differently to everyone, so it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly like me.
Exactly
like me. Nowadays doesn't matter. It's just what happens in history.
So the anchor you get, the less clothes you're going to have on, aren't you? That's what's going
I've
to
got the hair for it. But no, I was generally thinking, right,
Couple
yeah,
tails.
I believe it. And it's sort of like that nihilistic thing that you had. And it clicked with me straight away. And I said last time in the podcast, or not here, might have been talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, if humanity was going to fail and the aliens come down and said, look, you're all fucking everything up. You're bloody perverts. You're fucking idiots. You're bloody apes. We thought you'd be pretending not to be apes. And you're just crushing the planet. It's up to you if you get rid of it. I said, you know what, mate, knock it on the head. Yeah, you take me with it. I don't.
Yeah.
We failed. We don't bloody work. It doesn't matter. We're idiots. And with all the Trump stuff that's going on, it's just like, I give up. Like you think you're sort of doing little incremental steps towards enlightenment, and then you've just got fucking idiots. And you go, what's the? Like I was saying to you about that Sainsbury's thing that happened. I'm not going to go into. I was talking too far from the mic. When you just go, what is the point? Like him, I felt like him.
Forward to hearing this
I should have turned blue and stood in the same and gone, what's the fucking point? Why
You
am I
should have
doing
just
all
gone, leave me alone! And vaporised everyone.
But
yes.
teleported everyone.
So
Or
I'm
just-
looking-
or splattered them against the wall.
I'm looking at this one. Yeah, I did wonder, if I got all powerful, would I become a fascist? And I don't know
Yes,
it. And I think
yes, absolutely.
my law would be.
You would just be. There would just be.
I'd start off like who was it? Who started off? No, not Mussolini. Who was the Russian fellas? I've forgotten the names now.
Or Stalin.
Well, they all
Lenin?
start off sort of like for the people,
No, they
Eventually.
say they start off at the people.
No, but that's not the
right
but
off
eventually,
the bat.
yeah.
No, right off the bat.
Every tyrant in history has always,
really? I
always
thought one
started
of them-
off for freedom and the people.
Yeah, they always start off.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. In the Armenian,
No,
like
yeah.
freedom and
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, but only when they talk about it openly. But
as soon
like,
as the power kicks in.
even before then, it's just they don't have the means.
Talking of being all powerful,
Because no one says, "Oh, I'm going to bring in a secret police force." And
Yeah, but I was wondering if it's human nature. You do want to get into it and to do the right thing, but then people don't want to be perfect.
I think-
and they fight back, and then you.
no,
try.
but also I think sometimes evil men get power.
Yeah, I think well, like Trump, it's perfect example of just he knew his bullshitting. He had no interest in being a nice guy.
But I mean, you have to. But
I wonder how many freedom fighters do get into it to sort of free the.
well,
world.
I
It just
think
doesn't work.
sometimes it becomes a thing of like, oh, we've got to free ourselves from our oppressors, whoever they might be, and then okay, so we did the right thing, we won, good right, triumph, but we've got to hold on to this power to keep making the world better.
That's the
and
thing.
then you
Who's
end up
fighting
being,
back? That's why I go. Why don't they stay good? Why do they fight back? Like what happens? It's just they're not perfect enough, or something like that.
I suppose some people believe that the ends are so important that they justify any means. You know what I mean? That like the ends that they believe that an end goal. We need to get to this point,
It's
and
the-
it's so important
Yeah.
that we reach this end point that we must do anything to get there.
And all you
it
need
doesn't
is
really
one
matter.
person to say, "I don't quite believe in that," and then you do something bad to them to shut them up, and then people fight back, and then you just
Well, it's the thinking behind most terrorist organizations. You know, most terrorist cells and organizations. They're like, well, we have to do terrible things
yeah.
because our end goal is freedom here, or promoting this idea, or creating a utopic society. And if a couple of if we have to hurt people to get a long way, we don't want to do that. But the end is so important that we have to do it.
Honest to God, I've thought like if I was in charge, like is it delusional? I'm trying to help people and I'll sacrifice. But I thought my get out was like I would give up power. I think my thing is always it's not
everyone
one
says
person.
that. Everyone says
Yeah,
that.
I'll
They say,
do it.
oh, just 5 more years.
No,
and
who
then
was-
I'll give it. Cincinnatus? in Rome.
Cincinnatus, yeah, he walked. He said, "Right,
Yeah,
okay,
but he's
don't
the
need-
exception that proves the rule.
No, but the exception means it's humanly possible. It's in human nature to be able to walk away. If there's no exception, I think, okay, we don't actually know.
I mean, Washington was compared to because he gave up after 2 terms, and they were willing to make him essentially rule protector for life. I don't know what they offered him as the.
Yes, it does.
Because
I
that's
think
why the
people can.
presidents always stopped after 2 terms traditionally, because Washington did it, and so we should all do it.
Roosevelt did 3, I think.
Roosevelt technically he won 4. He didn't actually. I don't think he actually got inaugurated, but he won 4 elections.
Okay.
But it was after him that they changed the
Yeah.
law. They changed the constitution, so
Yeah.
you could only do 2.
So the comedian, was he always a baddie?
Yeah,
There was nothing. What was his backstory? Or there's not.
they don't really go.
No.
I don't think
There
go
is a
into-
prequel. I haven't
okay.
read I haven't read the prequel.
Okay.
But I mean, in the original Watchmen, there isn't back. Doesn't get one at all. In fact, I don't think he's one of the few that.
He's a government. He's sort of.
Yeah.
He was a costume vigilante, but
So
It's sort
what
of an
did you-
agent of
government
chaos, I
agent.
guess.
What did
isn't
you,
it?
as a connoisseur, what did you think of The Watchmen then when you saw it?
The film.
I quite like it.
thought it was
it's
good.
It's an okay adaptation. It's not a bad film.
Yeah.
It's an okay adaptation, but
What did they get wrong?
it kind of misses the point of the comic.
Which was what?
The comic takes a long time. I was talking about this with my friend the other day, and I said it's like the first series of True Detective, right? It's like if you took that whole 10 hours, all 10 episodes, and then you cut it down to a 2.5-hour film that was effectively just all the plot. It would be okay. It would be a well done sort of crime thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, who done it? Okay, this is all right. This is interesting, but he misses the point, because the real point of that first season of True Detective is the philosophizing, is the the sort of talk of spirituality and all this, and all these tangents and stuff, and it misses the film version. Necessarily has to miss out a lot of it, because really Watchmen is about, I think, the search for meaning in the universe, and that's really deep, and it doesn't really have any of the sex and violence in it. It doesn't really have any of the salacious bits. Not a lot happens in the film,
Right.
and so they really
Just squeeze in the character.
yeah, they really amped up the
Yeah.
fight scenes. They really amped up the violence, and it was supposed to be a critique, and it kind of glamorized Rorschach. Rorschach, for instance, I think is a cool character. I do, but you're not supposed to like him. He's a fascist.
Oh, really?
He's a nasty.
Yeah, you understand.
He's a
him.
fascist.
Yeah?
Because he has this absolute moral view, anyone who
Yeah,
does
because
anything wrong, he's just gonna he fucks people up, breaks people's arms, breaks people.
But hasn't he got an ethos of to be better? We're supposed to be better. Like he's a crime fighter. Isn't he?
No,
but
he's just
very
punishing.
he's
He's just punishing
absolute
people.
Evil.
But pretty much, but his version of evil includes pretty much anyone, to be honest.
Oh right.
Because you can find a reason to you don't well you parked to leave.
So if he I was going to say if he got a parking ticket, he'd kill the person.
Well, he maybe break your hands or something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or break your fingers.
On his
one by one.
side.
I mean, he's not a nice guy, and he's not a cool
Right,
guy.
okay,
He's
right.
supposed to be, and he's mentally ill as well. He's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be it's just a tragic figure and also a horrible person. He's
Yeah, so I didn't get that. So yeah, they're missing a lot out then, just even on that character.
And also, it's a lot about the style as well, because those issues with Dr. Manhattan when they're doing this.
Is he in The Watchmen, the baddie?
Blue guy. The blue
Oh,
guy.
that's Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah,
Okay,
Dr.
yeah.
Manhattan. They do this thing where they do the timeless, eternal view of time, where he's completely out of time, effectively. So everything's happening at the same moment. And it's so brilliantly done, like on the pages. It's just because he's experiencing everything at the same time.
Oh, in the magazine it works.
Yeah,
Okay, right.
and everything loses meaning.
Yeah.
Nothing has any meaning for him anymore
Yeah.
because everything is alive, dead.
Yeah.
Everything is
Okay,
the
right.
same.
Yeah.
Everything is the same. Everything becomes nothing.
Yeah.
And really, it's about his search to find some reason for the universe, to carry on, and ultimately to save the world.
So he's trying to find some sort of stability in chaos.
He's trying to find some value, I suppose.
Yeah.
A value.
So other guy was in there. So who's the baddie in that? He's he's like Doctor.
Spoiler alert! Turns
Yeah, I
out
was
to be
gonna say.
Ozymandias.
He reminds me of that fella.
Yeah, there's I know it's the big cloak and everything like that.
Oh yeah, the cloak on. That's what threw me off.
But I mean, I think it's not a bad adaptation. I think it would have been impossible to do it. Are they doing a TV series of it now?
They are.
They are.
They
Ooh.
just dropped the trailer a couple of days ago.
Did
and
they?
It looks, it's an HBO thing. It looked great. I have no idea what it's about.
A trailer for The Watchmen.
Because it doesn't really have it. It looks like a sequel series, and it doesn't look like it's going to.
And who do you see in it? How many of the characters?
There were lots of people.
Are there more than in The Watchmen?
There was Ozymandias. It was Jeremy Irons in a bathrobe. Sold.
That works.
Oh yeah, we all on that.
Sold. And lots of dudes in Rorschach masks.
Right.
Going TikTok.
Lots
TikTok.
of dudes
Yeah,
doing it.
like a room full of 20, 30 guys all in Rorschach masks.
So who is Jeremy Irons playing then?
I think he's supposed to
The
be
cloak.
Ozymandias.
Oh, so it's quite a long time later then.
Yeah.
Because
it's just-
Ozymandias is a young man isn't he? Well, I guess about 40.
Yeah,
isn't
he's
he?
about 40.
And Jeremy Irons is
Ancient,
a little bit
yeah.
older than 40.
Yeah.
God, no, you
And who
know
else
from
do you
Jeremy
see in
Irons'
it?
lawyer?
Who else?
Anyone else you can remember?
We're gonna see.
It was very.
Could you find out for us, please, Kerem? Thank you.
It was very.
Could you get on Hal? Ask Hal.
It was very cryptic, and my mate was like,
Okay,
my mate
right.
messaged me saying, "Oh, have you seen the new trailer?" And I was like, "Yep, it looked really cool. I've no idea what it's about."
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
but that's
right.
what you
But
want.
but I was like, look cool, they're great.
I mean, because that's what. Speaking of adaptations, we've got here the Infinity Gauntlet. Now,
So this is the Avengers. That's the Avengers.
that's
Gauntlet?
where we've got
Yeah.
because we had the Infinity War and Endgame, and I'm aware that I'm personally very averse to the idea of something that they go, oh, it's been a couple of weeks now, everyone should have seen it. Well, maybe people have a life, or maybe
Yeah.
people. It's a long film
Haven't
as well.
seen
It's
it.
3 hours. You've got to make time for it. So, without getting into too much spoiler territory, what did you think of it? I know the story of I've never read the Infinity Gauntlet, but I know some of the motivations and things.
They're very clever. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is very clever because they take old stories and well-established stories and stories that are well revered, and they do something a little bit different with them. So they don't directly adapt a storyline or a plot thread.
Well, that's fair enough.
They actually could kind of take something. They do something a bit different with it, and they do something a bit different with the characters as well. I like
what
the
am I looking
changes
at?
that they made.
I think I think Thanos' motivation is much better. I think the
Yeah,
idea of
yeah,
like
so
I'm
I was-
going to wipe out half the universe just to impress Death.
Yes, is a bit weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weak, isn't it? I
Yeah,
think it's kind of-
and it doesn't have all the cosmic entities which are quite frankly bizarre. When you start getting into eternity, the one above all, the living tribunal.
well, this is why I think they tend to do so many of these reboots and resets, because otherwise approaching it from cold, say in the middle of a 600 episode thing like the X-Men, it's just impenetrable. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
There's all these references to backstory. So every time, so I can understand why they reboot it. And again, it's almost a reset. Or
Yeah, but you can only reboot something once. When they keep doing that Spider-Man,
that's the only thing. Is for me the thing I don't tend to collect the sort of what would you call these, weekly, fortnightly, these sort of comics, where they're smaller, because I tend to do the trade paperback kind of ones, but I tend not to do the. I tend to go for the standalone stories. So like, what's it called? It wasn't called Old Man Logan. What's it called?
Yeah, Old Man Logan.
Is it called Old Man Logan? The one, because I know they've now got a series of it, haven't they? But the original.
Yeah, it's Old Man Logan. Mark Miller's. Yeah.
Oh, is it just called Old Man Logan? Yeah, that and Civil War.
Yeah. House of M, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Like, so I've got quite a few.
The standalone.
Yeah, exactly.
Stories,
yeah. So same with the Batman. I've got quite a few Batmans, but they're all the standalone ones. Yeah. So things like Long Halloween, Dark Knight Returns. I haven't read Strikes Back, which apparently is, and then they all get a bit iffier as time goes on. Apparently, I can't
because he lost his fucking mind basically. Like
yeah,
Frank Miller was fucking great, and then he just at some point he just lost his mind.
Frank Miller, the cartoonist or something?
Well, he's an artist and a writer, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he tends to
Conan, Frank Miller, or something.
No, that's
rings a bell. Miller.
It's something Herbert. No, it's But no, the answer is no.
Okay, right.
Kind of. But those weren't comics. They might be now, but they were pulp fiction. Hey, they were pulp kind of novels.
So what's the difference? What do you mean pulp?
As in, so it's a novel. It's not got pictures in it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it will have a picture of big boob tattoo.
So that's what pulp fiction means.
So yeah, kind of pulpy novel. The idea because they were literally made because it's made from the cheapy pulp paper.
Yeah, it's made from like newspaper print.
Right, it's nothing to do with the
they
story.
They just pulped it and reprinted
and
on
it's
it. And
written comics.
And no, they tended to be just very. Sort of almost what we would now dismiss as those kind of airport books, where there's no great literature to it, but you read it and it's fun and whatever.
Oh, okay, right.
So
it's
nothing
like an airport thriller, like
right. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was a better way, more simplified way. So you go on holiday.
Like Jack Smith is the ultimate MI5 agent, and he has 36 hours to stop the
in a world where something's happening where everyone else is incapable.
This one I'm looking at here, the Captain Marvel Betrayed. So you got is that the Avengers fighting the X-Men?
They have done some sort of fights, haven't they? Where it's
no, there's a cameo appearance by the X-Men, as you can see.
And what, they attack each other, do they?
There is an Avengers versus X-Men.
Because on the front of it says Captain America totally defeated. I'm assuming that's a lie.
Yeah. No, it's a bit of hyperbole. It sells it.
Then, fake news.
I bought that because it had a really salacious cover, and it was great. Yeah. Really colourful cover. And
because that's the thing with comics, isn't it? Is that so-and-so's dead. They're dead now, and it's never happened, aren't they? I mean, Superman was dead for not very long at all, was he?
He was dead.
A couple of months, yeah.
Yeah, when they killed him in Superman. Because then there were all the fake Supermen, which I quite like that as an idea. Yeah. And you're like, okay, that's kind of fun. Like, they've got a cyborg one, there's a clone, there's all this sorts of stuff. Yeah. And then they bring it back because then what's going to sell better than the death of Superman is the return of Superman. I mean, there's a few that have it's kind of like a written in stone, is it? That Uncle Ben, Spider-Man, he's never coming back. Have they had him in alternate universes or something like that? I would expect.
Yes, I would.
Because they've done that with Thomas and Marthwain, haven't they? Brought back, so in Flashpoint, they come back, don't they? Yeah. And he's Batman, Thomas.
And she's the Joker.
Yeah, which is so cool.
Well, I've never heard.
It makes no sense, but it's so cool when she's just like crying and she wipes her makeup. And then it becomes the red Joker. So in an alternate reality, again, this is a spoiler alert thing, so people don't want to. But in an alternate reality, when in the alleyway, when Thomas and Martha Wayne go out into the alleyway with Bruce,
with Batman, the kid.
So the idea is in the traditional thing, it's the parents get killed, and the boy becomes Batman.
Right.
In this version, it's the boy that's killed.
It's Bruce that's killed. Bruce gets killed.
Yeah. So she's Martha,
the mum.
Sobbing. I think that's the only reference. You don't actually see her being the Joker, do you? I don't think so. But she's just sobbing over his corpse. She sort of wipes her makeup and it smudges and makes the red Joker smile, and she becomes. They do the cackle,
and it's the dad. The dad becomes Batman.
But a badass Batman, like a super elite, like he shoots people,
and the kid's just
because Batman used to shoot people. That's the thing. It's the comics code. Yeah, he used to shoot people. He used to carry guns. He had a biplane, didn't he? That had
he hasn't got any superpowers. It's all technology.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is he's also trained. He's very clever, and he's also very trained. He went off to train with the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul.
And that's very much the pulp origins. Is that he isn't necessarily a superpower guy, but he's a guy who went off and trained in the mystic arts. He learned. he went to Tibet.
It's a very common
Africa.
thing, isn't it? The trope that people go off to the Far
Oh,
East.
Yeah, they go.
Sort of like you. Was you trained to be a Superman? Is that why you went off to
He
your...
can't tell us if he's a
Oh, of
fidget
course
man.
not. Sorry, mate.
Can he?
Sorry. Yeah.
Wink.
Absolutely not.
Would you see him walk out here and like go, let's watch it, and you see him go up into the sky?
That would be so cool.
Who was out of any, if he is a comic book character I liked out of all of them, Watchmen, everything, was the one Bane. I agreed with everything he was saying.
Oh God, you're always on the back.
Now, what was it? He wanted people to be happy or something like that. I can't remember.
No, that wasn't his master plan. Was like his master
It was
plan
something like
wasn't
that.
Don't worry, be
It was
happy.
like, I'm trying to help you, fucking arse.
No, but it's almost like it's in fact become a bit of a trope. Really.
And I'm talking about the film, so I don't know anything else.
It's the burn it down to rebuild it better.
Yeah.
So that's his thing.
When Gotham lies in ash,
There you go.
there you have my permission.
Oh, well done. You can see your
You hold
improv
your-
classes.
Yeah,
Ken.
no, I always like doing the voice, but
Nobody knew me before I put this mask on.
nobody cared who I was.
So what was his thing?
Till
So I
I put
remember,
on the mask.
I remember thinking, yeah, that works. What he's saying is right.
No, stop being on the side of everyone who's evil.
Just nihilistic.
I'm just talking about the
This
film.
nihilistic
I've only
bad
seen the
guys.
film.
Yeah, but he kills people. Lots
All
of
right,
people.
but look, things happen. But his thing was, no, listen. His thing was, I am trying to make things better. No, actually, he reminds me of you.
Why?
No, not him. Who's he against Batman?
Yeah.
Because we've had this conversation. No, because I've said to you,
Two of them
look,
together.
nobody wants bad things to happen, but if nothing's going to get fixed, I've told you before, it's like the Gordian knot. Things aren't going to get fixed.
I
Stop
would
trying
like
to fix
I
things by
would
going,
like
oh,
to-
let's vote more. It's not going. It doesn't fucking work for 1,000 fucking years.
I would
It's not
like to
gonna
go on
work.
record as saying I am not pro Bane or
No, but you were having a go at me for saying the burn
yeah,
down
I'm
the.
Batman then.
Yeah. Honestly, like Unbreakable, it's all playing out.
Yeah.
I have to figure out who he is. But yeah, no. So
He's
I'm
Charles,
saying,
man.
stop. The voting doesn't work, and it's laughable that you keep doing it. Every generation, you restart, and the ignorance starts again. It's a Gordian knot from the top of the government all the way down. It's all knotted in. One thing can't change without the rest. So you do have to slice the bloody thing open. But nobody wants to be an adult and sacrifice themselves.
Yeah, but
and say,
because the
"We
problem
can't
when
carry
people,
on doing this.
Yeah, but sometimes people do try and slice it open, and those people are called Adolf Hitler, and they're called and they're called Pol Pot.
No, but then you could say they're Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. It's the same thing.
No, because they didn't change anything.
No,
They
but what I'm
tried
saying,
to
they're
do-
trying to change.
Yeah, but they were
Hitler
trying to
wasn't
work
trying
in a. Yeah, but they were trying to do it within a democratic system.
No, but they're just nutters. I'm about fairness. I'm just saying in the political, the politics from the top to the bottom is completely knotted at every level, from low level stuff right to the top and back in history, and that's what we know of. So why we get a new generation come along and say, "Oh, we're voting"? Go, are you still voting? You still think that matters? It doesn't matter at all. I saw
No,
one
it
of
does
these
matter
TED talks.
because you end up with that's how you get the
I
right.
watched the TED talk the other week, right?
Oh well, if it's in a fucking TED talk, it
but
must
this
be
guy-
the
no,
be all and end
The
all.
only reason I liked it is because he's playing statistics.
Because it was by some fascist, wasn't it? It was like it was some NRA guy with a gun.
No,
Well, it's like the old anarchist slogan. If voting mattered, then it would
it'd
be illegal.
Yeah. Now this guy, he said, right, here's just the statistics, and he went back and he said, firstly, from I think the late 70s, whoever raised the most money won in politics in America.
Trump didn't raise. Trump didn't raise.
Oh, well, this is
money.
like a few years ago now, so don't. It might
Oh,
be
I
out of
see.
date.
So
It
we're
might
adding
be wrong.
caveats and PSs until we get the right answer, are we?
Perfect. No, this was a few. It was fairly old. But what he did is he was taking what the like all the big donors wanted, and what was at the time in the politics, what people wanted, and he started wheedling it down and how they get in place and why and what they wanted and what they said and what they went against and what actually happened by the time they left office. And it was like a perfect graph of from the start to the end. The big donors always got their way, and everything that he said would go away. And then he was going through all the different voting rights and how it works and all that. And he said it basically comes down now to about 0.5% is actual voting is what actually affects things. If you look at it on graphs, the voting doesn't matter. It's all an illusion. Yeah, so the actual effects of voting are like 0.5%. The rest is just how much money certain people paid, why, and then... So this is my thing, when you just, and then you look back at what's happened and everyone says this, but it's really that, and just...
So, yeah, but the issue there is it's not that voting is wrong, it's that it's within a corrupt system. So you just say you can't...
Yeah, but the system is politics.
politics.
You just need to...
No.
I saw something once, I don't agree with it, but it's clearly like he'd been sent over here, and it was a TED Talk, funny enough, and he was talking about how in China it's more egalitarian, and they were going through... in this country how you'd get into politics, and out there it is like on a local level. You could be like in a local town, and you can get.
Yeah, but if you have more than if you break the one child.
Yeah, the downside was this, but
the downside.
Just talking in terms of it's to get into power. It's much more easier somewhere else than it is here. But I could tell it was just this is pure like he's just been sent over here.
Yeah, you
but
get
my
all,
point
you get all
is,
sorts of people going like, oh, this other country's got this, is that. It's like, oh, really? Well, ask them what party they voted for, or was it the one party that they've always had?
The one.
Is it the 5 candidates?
Yeah,
they
he
were
did
told
make
to
some
vote
caveats
for?
about something, but
Yeah,
generally, I was
exactly.
watching it out of amusement more than anything else.
I mean, there was because Michael Moore did that thing, Where to Invade Next, and he was talking about these countries, and you go, well, Italy's hugely corrupt, and in politics terms, and there's all this and all that. And people saying, yeah, I am cherry picking. I'm very aware I'm cherry picking the best bits. So for Italy, it was to do with how much holiday they get, and then it was, I think it was Slovenia. I think it was to do with how their education is 100% free and it's very high standard. And so he was cherry picking from places because it's like. But, you know, you could say that about anywhere, about anything.
But my point is politics is the voting, it's run its bloody course. It doesn't work the way it is. I'm not saying every single person shouldn't have a voice, but I'm just saying the system that is set up to vote, I mean, forget even technology.
No, I think it's the behind what's going on. The voting ought to stay. You get rid of you say you can't have donations from these parties.
Well, money first. Don't talk about politics until all the money's gone. Pointless.
I think there's babies in bathwater here. And I think that
everyone needs a voice. That's the main thing. That's the first page. Everyone has to have a voice.
Ideally on an equal footing, or as an equal footing as we can.
Well, there shouldn't be political parties.
I don't understand why the sides. I don't get that. I don't know how you. Yeah. But I've said before, I wouldn't have thought to burn the whole bloody thing down until I heard about the Athenians, where they would do votes, but you were never. It was just you were never voting for your area, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? So if you said, if we're all in charge of this city and we're going to vote on this, we're going to vote on this, you're going to vote depending on how the rubbish has been recently or who mugged you up the road. But if you're just voting on a system that's not in your town, there's the amount of money, and it's for somewhere that you're never going to be, you don't know where it is, you start to be more egalitarian. Go, yeah, well, you should have more than that.
Let's also not forget that the Athenians had slavery. And
I know, but what I'm saying...
And a very limited...
but their thing was that it was like a jury service. Everyone came up and did a vote on a different thing. So it was more... The problem is you can't have somebody you can't be voting on something that you can be connected to. That's because the human nature is the poison in all of this. So if you just said, right, we are going to... we're gonna vote on something to do with a town in England, but you don't know where it is, so it doesn't matter if you don't get your rubbish and you're pissed off or there's not enough schooling. You just go, here's the money.
That's what people vote for, is me and mine.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But if you said it's not going to be affecting in your town, it could be anywhere. There's no point you being corrupt, because it doesn't matter if your rubbish is. They just go, here's $100,000. You've got to split this amongst those people. We go, well, yeah, we should have more.
I think we've become too much, because then people would say, well, why have they got all this money? Why don't we have money in our area?
But it could be even talking about your. I'm just saying somehow. I mean, I'm just throwing it out. But that thing of you can't have any effect of what you can't get back what you're talking about. You have to remove yourself from the thing, and then suddenly people do become more egalitarian and more sensible, and more rather than, well, we're all coming here with our own prejudices about where we live. Of course, we're going to vote for that more or that for more. You know, the politicians would do probably a good job. They're not idiots, but it's their own corruption. If you said, right, from now you're not going to be voting on this,
some of them are idiots.
No, but you know what I mean. If you said you're going to vote on something,
Jeremy,
but you can have no connection to this, or when you leave here, you're not allowed to be a CEO in any company that you've had some dealing with. The human being is the poison. I'm saying
a lot of industries have a sort of cool off period or whatever, where you're not allowed to work for another.
You go garden leave, don't you?
For like 5 years or whatever.
About the cigarette companies and the politicians were leaving and then becoming like CEOs of some, and then they'd look back and go,
well, there's all this thing about how the BBC has been sort of infiltrated by, you know, Tories and right wing, because all these people used to work in this and that, and they used to be political advisors, and they're all junior and this and everything like that. But it comes or then they go, they leave the BBC and then go to work as, you know, communications, blah blah blah.
But it's the thing. This is why I keep saying about why I agreed with certain people. It's the people, or the human beings, are the issue here.
Yeah, but I mean, let's not go.
And I'm not saying to kill them. I'm saying we have to put things.
Yeah, but put a robot in charge.
Every character you've agreed with, we've got one. Maybot.
So Bane, what was his thing? I can't really remember now. I remember agreeing with a lot of.
I suppose he was like a social fascist, really. It was about survival of the fittest.
What was his downside?
Well, he was a social fascist, and it was survival of the fittest.
But what's wrong with that?
bit social, a bit like we keep coming back to the same argument. Yeah, but what's the downside of fascism?
Yeah.
No, but the thing
It's
is,
fascism.
I am asking you, and you're not answering. You're still not answering.
Okay. Well, what's the
Don't
downside?
say Hitler. That doesn't work.
No,
No,
okay.
no.
So in the film, he cuts off the city from everywhere. He threatens to nuke.
Right,
it.
don't start saying he punched somebody. I'm talking about the general human beings. He's trying to fix something.
No, but his idea is that it's gotten so corrupt we have to burn the forest down essentially.
Well, what's wrong
and
with
start
that?
again because
I've used
then
that term.
then people die. The people.
But
in
if
the
a
forest. He's not
trillion
talking
people
them-
live afterwards, then you sacrifice yourself.
I think the problem with Bane, let's say Baneism, the
Bainers, there you go.
Yeah.
Heard it first.
the Baneism. Well, it's more of a coherent ideology than any political parties currently putting forward. But unfortunately, Baneism is that we should tear it all down, and then ultimately, the people that are left will have to fight and struggle, and that will make everyone stronger.
Yeah.
As I said, it's
He
sort of-
didn't hate a
it's-
group of people, did he?
Yeah, but the point is, he doesn't ask anyone. He doesn't say any volunteers.
Yes,
Who wants
fair
to
enough.
die?
But if
Who
the
wants
world's
to be
full of
sacrificed?
idiots, you need somebody to step up and do something.
And who decides that?
But why can't? Okay, well, why can't we just?
Well, I'm still saying, what's his downside?
But
I still
I'd say, okay, Bane, if we need to cut down the population, you go first.
No, it's not cut down the population.
It is. He's talking
just
about
get rid of
but-
arseholes, wasn't it?
No, because it's indiscriminate nuclear. He doesn't do a test. He just.
But was he doing that eventually?
There's a thing with
of getting rid of half the people.
Yeah, but Thanos again doesn't say, "Oh, who are the evil people? I'll get rid of."
Right.
Snap them out.
Yeah, so that's
who are the
stupid.
selfish. It's literally.
Right, I do not agree with him. That's
50-50,
ridiculous because the
Oh, good,
thing's
he
got to
doesn't
just
agree
grow
with someone who
again.
wipes out half of everything.
And also, if he had the powers of the Infinity Gauntlet, he could give food and resources to those people.
Yeah,
anyway.
that is a big flaw. people point out.
So,
the Thanos thing
but
was
I
get rid
suppose
of
it's
half the people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to grow again. Why not create double the planet?
Because the idea is that then there's, there's that argument. Some people go, that's a major flaw in his plan. Why doesn't he just make sure that there's...
But it's not, because he is a nihilist. That's how he's viewed. He's
But
a
kill everyone,
bad,
then.
twisted person, and that's how he's viewed.
Right, so I don't
viewed
agree with him.
to solve
you
the
can't
problem.
go kill half the
But Bane
people.
plans to nuke Gotham City. So let's say the equivalent. That's like someone going, I'm going to nuke New York City. There's no indiscriminate.
All right. The
So
way
there
he
is a
did
bit
it was
there.
wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So there we are. But I mean, he does have the trial for rich people, but that's
Yeah,
all.
that's what I like that
That's
bit.
all a ruse. That's all just to keep everyone thinking it's all about that. He plans to nuke the city anyway.
Oh,
He was
right. So that's to
going
pacify
nuke it.
them and thinking there was a sort of fairness.
Yeah,
that
but he does all.
isn't there.
But again, it's like the fairness of like, I'm going to lock all the policemen up. I'm
But
going
what is he
block off the
trying to
bridges.
achieve? He wants what?
Well, he
New-
thinks that so it's to do with corruption. He's saying, the world's grown too. Yeah, but slaughtering people is not the answer. That's not helping out. That is it.
Why is he doing it then?
Yeah, because he's mad. He's a bad guy.
Is he not?
Because he's it's a different answer to a problem. He said the world is. He's like so there you're saying the world is corrupt. There are problems with our system, and so the answer then you go, well, what do we do? What's the answer?
Yeah.
And he's saying, well, we just kill everyone and blow it all up, burn it to the ground, and then maybe we can build something
I
different.
thought there was more sensible.
No, it's also a lazy solution. It's saying, it'd be really too hard to sort out the corruption and everything like that. I'll just blow it all up.
Yeah, but then I could say, right, okay, I'm going to go with you. Or I agree with you. What do we do now? Well, nothing. There's nothing we can do.
No, but again, I'm not advocating
so
for
then
not
you
doing.
have to go and blow
I'm not.
things
No,
up.
that's not. That's
No?
weak. That's weak and lazy. Like I'm saying that me saying, oh no, we need to have voting is right, but your then immediate solution, you're going for an absolutist response.
Because
of,
you've
let's
had
just tear it
your
all down.
time. It's my
but
turn
then-
now. You've had how many generations back?
Yeah,
do
and
we
then
have
I'll
to go?
say, yeah, but then that's a bit like saying, all this, you had democracy and now we're going to install a fascist dictatorship. No. I say no.
But my
I say
thing is-
no to that.
No, you just put the right. If they leave me,
No,
in
I say
pla-
I need to fix the system.
right, and I'll say, well, what have you done so far? Show me what.
Well,
I've
to
done
be
nothing.
fair,
It
I
gets
don't
worse.
run the government.
I go, oh well, here's Trump. I got him.
Yeah.
You go, right, yeah, get out.
Well, all right. In that case, because your answer is just going, we need to tear it all down. But what have you done for it? You haven't stormed the
No,
government.
but I've been
you haven't done
letting
anything.
you have your go, and now
Yeah.
it's my turn.
And I'm saying your turn is wrong. But I haven't
you
had
haven't
my, I
done
haven't had
anything
my
yet.
go.
You
I haven't had my go.
you've had- how many Parliament been going? 500 years, proper Parliament.
Yeah, but that's still the same go. That's not my go. My go is you need to get rid of corruption.
And I'll say, okay, right, you're not
Give me,
aligning.
all right,
with
give me
that. I'll
5
give
years.
you a go.
Give me 5 years. There you go.
But what? But okay, well,
But what would you do? Like, what do you can't?
So you would bring in laws and you would say, right, the people, I would say
who brings in the laws?
Yeah,
Poli-
me in the system. And I say, fine, if you don't vote for these things, because how is that any different from your fascism? If that's a better thing.
No, but I could do that. You can't do that. You wouldn't be able to do. You would never get to the point where you could
Why
impart
not?
those laws
Why?
because the system behind it wouldn't allow you to get into that.
In
point.
an age of social media, I couldn't say, look, these are things we need to do. I couldn't
Yeah,
bring in
but
give it a
you
go.
you could get the highest Instagrammer now and say I'm running for government. They wouldn't get in. It'd be nice for a couple. It'd be like a Russell Brand type thing.
No, because I wouldn't be bothered about
he
my
doesn't like Russell
Hollywood
Brand,
career.
so he's
brand.
gonna-
Who's that fat, ugly, useless, stupid, wobbling bag of shit? Who's
We talking
a
about Trump
YouTuber who's now running for
I don't know.
MEP? Sargon of
England?
Akkad. Yeah.
It's Sargon of Akkad.
He certainly
What
is.
does he
With
do?
his
Is he fat? I've never
Shuckle
really-
brother, fucking Count Dankula.
I don't know who Count Dankula
Count Dankula was the chap who was arrested for getting
Oh,
his
is this
pug
the
dog to do the
Sikh art?
Nazi salute. Yes.
Is he an Instagrammer, this fella?
They are YouTube morons,
media person.
basically. They are the so-called skeptic community, but they are sort of right-wing reactionaries, really.
And they don't like girls.
Don't like girls.
don't like him.
don't like anyone who's not sort of fat dudes in their 30s.
Is Sargon
Really.
fat? I've never really seen pictures.
He's a
Just
bit
outside the-
chubblicious,
oh,
yeah.
really?
I used to, right? When I used to working outside a nightclub, and it just goes to I am a good, like I'm on the good side. I know you don't see it, but there was a guy that used to walk past every sort of Friday night, and it's still quite vivid in my mind. And he was about 5'3", chubby, always had a rock t-shirt on,
Yeah.
and I was in a high street. I used to work big long high street outside the club, and he had curly hair. Who did he look like? Oh, I don't know. He used to walk past, and he used to have a little bag of McDonald's with him.
Yeah.
And he always used to walk back when I've started work like at 9, and he'd be walking back at like 11, away from the town. And I used to admire him so much. Like I'd get people on, I had conversations with. He'd walk past, and I'd say, "Look at his little fat, chubby hands. He's got no scars. No, he's never thrown a punch. There's no grit on his."
That's what
finger."
he wants you to think.
No, but he was walking past, and I thought he's going home, and it's 11. He's finished work at Blockbuster or wherever. He's got his little McDonald's. He's going home to watch South Park, play on the computer, and go to bed. And I thought, that's it, man.
He's got it sorted, to be
Yeah,
honest.
no, I think he's not worried about death threats. There's no struggle for
That's
humanity.
what you think. Though.
There's
You've no
no
idea what he's like behind.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm
You're
suggesting-
projecting and you're deciding.
But I just thought, that's great, man. Like, that's what it's about. And once it happened before similar, I was in Lakeside at night time on a Thursday, and it was closing up. And I was coming down the stairs.
Lakeside?
Yeah, oh, sorry, the shopping centre, Lakeside, years ago. And as you come off the food hall at the top, you come down the stairs, and just before the food hall, there's one shop, and it's the... oh, damn. What's those... You know, there's an ongoing game, and you buy little toys at the shops, and you have like different figurines, and I'm a wizard, and you're a...
Dungeons and Dragons.
Something like that, but it's been going
Like
on.
Games Workshop.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. They got a big thing in the middle, and it was like just before close, about 10 o'clock, and these 3 guys were just in there, all looked the same.
Oh, that'd
Over
be Games
the
Workshop.
T-shirt that
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
bit
yeah.
too small. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Games
yeah,
Workshop.
yeah, yeah.
The G, yeah. And I was looking, I thought, they're quite happy, mate. They're not worried about struggle for humanity or trying to put the world's biggest startup team or going to work in a nightclub and being shot at and stuff. They've got it. That's what I want to be. I want to. What's it in the Matrix when he flicks the switch or he can be something? He can go back to the.
Oh, you mean so he says
He can forget everything.
Yeah,
I
ignorance.
thought,
is bliss.
would I do it if I could now? Would I just be them?
What blue pillar, yeah?
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm on the side of right. I want the world to be just, but you've had enough. You've done enough. If it
Yeah,
was,
but burning
was the
that,
20s,
like,
I wouldn't
yeah,
be saying this. But you've had enough, and I'm not spinning the wheel again. So in 100 years' time, we'll still be talking about the same shit.
Yeah, neither am I. I'm saying we need to change the system.
I'm
Your
the Gordian knot, mate. I'm going to pull out the
Yeah.
fucking
Well,
sword
good
and
luck
I'm going
with
to
that,
slice it. I ain't got time
Good
to
luck with
talk
that.
anymore.
Yeah.
Right, so getting back to...
I think
feel-
it's just you're just going for.
But you
the
are definitely
Batman.
Batman then.
So let's
You are
talk about comic books. Then.
Well, but this is technically the life. This is Unbreakable, mate. He's my Batman, so I've got to keep an eye on. So, like you said, when he's getting annoyed when I was saying burn the fucking thing down, you are wrong.
Yeah, because I'm saying like you can't wholesale slaughter is not the answer.
But I agree with you. But you've
Yeah.
had enough time. You can't carry on doing it.
So you do agree with killing people then?
No, no, but you shouldn't. There's no need to murder people. I
Well,
don't know where
then-
that got
then-
in.
yeah, but
My
that's
thing
where-
was the
that's
ethos
all
of
of
we've got to
these people-
change anything,
Yeah.
and we've got to do hard things.
Yeah.
If I said I've got to take a bullet to
Yeah.
save the next,
But
I'd do it.
But my thing is harder than the idea.
But you're saying no,
of
we want the change, but we don't want any of the pain. Well, tough things happen. If you want to go to the gym
It will
and get
be
muscle, you
painful.
got to sweat, you
It
got
will
to
be
hurt.
painful.
No, but it's
I'm not
not.
saying-
You're still saying vote, and as if
No,
it
because you're
matters.
trying to change people's minds. That's the hardest thing. You're
Listen,
trying
a
to
lot
say
of our
that we need
viewers
to
are in
get-
Vietnam. I don't know if I'm going to go down well. It's
With what?
strange. Our viewers, well, is Vietnam a fascist state?
No, I don't think so.
They are an ex-communist state. They are
Yeah, I'm thinking my because our second highest viewers are from Vietnam, so I think it might be
cool.
Sin Hoi. think that's
Hi
hello.
there,
I think that's
Vietnam.
hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, maybe.
So, where was I?
Or not. I don't know what time it is there.
Where was that? Oh, here we go. So I haven't seen this before. So you've got the
Luke Cage.
the comic book Luke
Which
Cage.
was-
It's a black
was-
fella.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yes, and he is he's came out of the blaxploitation film.
Oh, is that
kind of
part? Yeah,
craze.
there's the one with an afro on here.
Yes, it is.
So
And
what's his story? What is his superpower?
he is a bulletproof African American man.
Did he fall into a vat of something?
He did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. No, well, he was tested on. He was a prisoner, and he was tested on, and the test went weird, and he became bulletproof.
It became bulletproof. Did they go into any more details?
Yeah,
Like, at least
some.
with X-Men, what's the tiger or the bear or whatever he was, the claws?
Wolverine.
Yeah, that you showed that they stuck metal in him and aluminium or whatever it was called,
Adamantium.
adamantium. So I get that, but how can you fall in or do?
Well, he was
experiments in
tested
bullet-
on. He was a prisoner, I think, at the time. And he was
scientific
tested.
tests.
And they were using these prisoners for legal tests.
And why did he decide to fight crime?
Because
Hates the man.
I think, yeah. He was taking on the man. He was defending Harlem. He lived in Harlem mostly and operates from Harlem. He was defending
Oh, that's
his
the Marvel.
community against.
That's not like an independent. That's
Ah,
Marvel.
yeah.
So that was quite again ahead of its time to have a black character.
Yeah, prominent
Christ,
black
at the
character.
time.
Well, famously, the Black Panther.
Yeah, look, approved by the comic code.
Yeah. The Black Panther. You know, the Black Panther terrorist organization.
Oh yeah, Panthers. Yeah.
The character Black Panther predates that by 3 months.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, so they are named after.
I don't know whether they named them after it.
That was another good organisation that used to do stuff for schools and give out free meals and all that till they went bloody mental and human beings started getting involved. Again.
Well, I'm assuming it was the humans beings giving out the food to begin with.
Yeah,
was it
I'll
not?
sort through that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so he's got a chain on him. He's got a chick with the afro, the copper. Yeah, the baddie copper's just.
Oh yeah,
somebody.
he's fighting against police
Again,
corruption.
so that's quite good that they've got. I suppose against gambling. Is that the reference to the cards and the dice?
All the drugs and
Bar
he's
girls, yeah.
he's beating up the
Was he a clean living dude? Is that the thing?
yes, on the whole he tried to be.
Is there any who's like the darkest character we go right? He's like a junkie or he's a drunk. Oh, isn't Iron Man a drunk?
He's now a recovering alcoholic.
No, it's funny.
I
that
mean,
they put that
Punisher is
into-
a vigilante who just kills everyone everywhere anyway.
Is he a
so your
lawman?
kind of like dream hero.
Yeah, he just literally goes around with a big machine gun and just murders.
I mean, they take it too far, but I'm sort of on the. I don't know why you. No, anyway,
He just wipes
you
out.
show that one up.
There's the Garth Ennis run, the first issue. He just
The Punisher.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about this.
okay, yeah, it's some new take on the character. It's 90s run, 90s early noughties. There's this 90-year-old mafia boss is having his birthday. 100-year-old mafia boss. He just walks in, just shoots him in the head, and just runs out. And all these mafia dudes go, "What?" And just run outside, and then he's waiting out there with an M60 machine gun, and he just wipes out most of the Italian American mafia.
Now, would you say that's a bad thing?
Well, I'm more in favour of that but the problem is once you start saying to people, "Oh, you can just kill someone if they're
Yeah, that's
a
what
criminal,"
annoys me. You can't just stick to your word. Why do they all change? That's what annoys me. If you're for freedom and justice, then stick to it.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say I'm against that only on the grounds of otherwise you've got people taking the law into your hand. You have to have a legal because otherwise then you start saying, "Oh, well, okay, well, we're going to be a vigilante for people who are shoplifters, and you'll do your own punishment for them."
You should fairness and justice. That's just everyone's fair. Don't hurt people. That's the main thing. You can't
but we have a
bypass
law
that.
Yeah, but the law has to be in charge, not people taking it into their own hands. I agree that, like, obviously these scumbags need to be, dealt with. And if
cross
it's
the line.
Yeah, exactly. And
rules don't apply.
Yeah, but if he's just,
But it annoys me like in Animal Farm, we go, right, they've got the tenants there, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, and then somebody crosses the line that says, well, yeah, but you can sleep in a bed without sheets. You go, right, that's it, it's all, no, you're over, mate, you're out, you can't change anything. If you've got any law, fairness and justice, don't hurt people, it doesn't matter what, and if you have to leave, tough, it didn't work for you, let somebody else have a go. But they don't, and then they start attacking people. So I don't know what the problem is, it's human nature, but I don't know how you get the structure to keep it in place. Because if people start changing the laws to, well, like Trump, well, we're sort of like them, but we don't like them. And you go, well, it's either fairness or it's not. You can't have it all.
But laws kind of do have to change, though. I mean, necessarily.
that's how every law is made.
No, but fairness
That's why
is
we have
always the
parliaments
same.
and
It's
laws.
just don't hurt other people. I don't know where the ambiguity comes in. I don't get it. They all must come in with a set of laws that say don't do this, don't do that, don't crime and all that. And then they end up killing people because of what? I don't get it. Oh, anyway, let's get back to the comic books. Oh, so when did we start getting women in comic books? Single green female. Is that like a new dating site? That doesn't even look like a. It's sexist. Is that not a sexist picture?
I think comics have always faced-
that is more. That's more. She's not drawn. I mean, if you have open
So
it
she's
up,
the Hulk. Oh,
she's Bruce Banner's cousin.
without the muscle for some.
But comics have always faced accusations of like, oh, they objectify women because it's big knockers and they're wearing. I mean, big knockers maybe isn't the best way for me to phrase that.
Yeah, I think.
No, but they're overly sexualized,
Well done,
and I
Theo.
don't
Fred's
like.
laughing.
Typically, the earlier comics they tried to tone that down. Nowadays, you know what I mean? Just because I suppose it was the over sexualization, mostly because the target audience was mostly teenage boys.
Yeah,
Quite frankly,
I like the fact that when she turns into a woman, into a Hulk, it's just her, but green. Like they haven't got loose the boobs, the waist is
but
still
she doesn't
small.
become suddenly massive.
Yeah,
No,
still got to be
she's
sexy
fairly,
and slim waist and big tits.
but she's not the cover, that front cover, the first issue cover is a bit salacious, slightly, but I actually kind of liked.
I'm not being funny. Like the
take.
first page, what do you call it? The first
Page.
She's already on her back with the bloke on top of her.
Oh yeah. Well, the first scene, that's fun because the first scene is her at uni having not having a nice time. She's a bit of a bookworm, and she doesn't get any fun. Everyone else is going out and enjoying herself. She never does. And then they cut, and then she's She-Hulk.
Hang on.
She's out partying every night.
She's green
and sleeping with models, and losing her job and getting kicked out the Avengers mansion because she's coming home drunk every night.
Why is she green there in her job? Isn't she supposed to turn into the Hulk?
She can be. She can be green and hulkish and keep
That's
her
Shrek.
keep her
She's
mind.
basically the Shrek chick.
Yeah, and she likes being green. She likes it's a weird thing. 'Cause she likes being green. She thinks she's more attractive, and
But because she has control over her changes, doesn't
she can.
Like
Oh,
Hulk
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And she got an earring that goes ping, ping, ping. Is that a crime fighting thing?
And that's the that's the Avengers.
I mean, this is great for the listeners. Theo reads a comic, not even out loud.
Who was the comedian? I keep forgetting his name now.
Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah, how did you know?
Oh,
But
he wouldn't. He would read. He
would read from The Great Gatsby, was it?
Yeah, I forgot.
And then he'd do the thing of, well, I can play the record player, and he'd put the record player on, and be reading The Great Gatsby on the record player.
well, Steve Martin read the phone book, didn't he?
No, did he?
Yeah, because there's always that line, isn't there? You can, a funny guy can make reading from the phone book funny, and he did.
Yeah.
Are any
It's a great. Yeah, it's
are
great
any
stuff.
superheroes dating each other? Yeah, like, is there any marriage superheroes?
There's been marriages and
There's been a
all sorts of-
gay marriage recently in the
No.
Yeah, was it Shatterstar and
Who?
a couple of minor characters.
That's
they've been dating for a while. They were two lads, and they've been dating for a while. And they recently got married. So
Didn't Batman recently marry Catwoman? Nearly.
It didn't happen in the end.
Yeah.
They built it up, and
What a
like
tease.
I know they built it up, and it just they didn't happen in the end.
I'm not being funny. She looks like she's a bit of a slapper. Like she's either on her back in half of these scenes, or she's got up her ass.
But it is. But then that's kind of the point of the story, basically.
Oh, okay,
in a sense,
see.
yeah, is that she's
sexually liberated.
yes,
That's not liberation.
and she is
Fake liberation.
Kind of, she's screwing up, and it's having a detrimental effect.
Yeah,
on
so
her,
in the end, it's
on her.
bollocks.
It's a
Spice
negative
Girls
thing, and
bollocks.
she has to, she's. It's portrayed as a sort of being a negative thing. Her partying and wild lifestyle.
It's mad that you could enjoy like that. That was to be able to read that so vivid at the time, like as of at times to read something like this. Whereas now you need sort of like the movie and the 3D and all that. But that was sort of sufficed at the time.
I mean, that's a kind of recent one. I think this is
it's
done
still
about
going.
past 5-6
we've got
years.
to look.
Oh, there's his bookmark.
Oh yeah, and that's my book.
Lusty Lacy. No. Oh, was that your bookmark?
Yeah.
Did I
So
put it back in the right place?
Yeah, that's fine.
So briefly, just to get back to comics in general,
In general,
we have the golden age, which I suppose is the origins, so the 30s, 40s. Is that right?
That will be late 30s to I think it's marked as about 55.
Yeah.
So really, with the comic book code coming in,
And then the silver age is,
till I think about early 70s,
and then bronze age.
and then the bronze age is to 85, 86. Basically, with the Dark Knight and Watchmen,
Yeah.
that was the end of the Bronze
What are
Age.
we in now then?
The pewter age.
We're in the modern age now. That's kind of happened
So
since
they were
about
the modern age.
86, really.
Okay.
Like
It's modern.
Yeah, they're like,
Oh, that means I'm modern then. I was
Yeah,
born, I was
very
born in that time frame. I'm super modern.
very modern. And that's typically, but they got sort of darker
Yeah.
as it's gone on.
I think they
It's got
kind of-
more mature.
Yeah, because of Dark Knight Rises and Watchmen, I suppose that kind of made them think like, oh, this is what people want, and we can do this now.
Because they sold. The comic authority had liberalized a bit and was sort of laxed some
Yeah,
of
because I
the.
noticed, maybe it's not on this one, but there was one of them and it had rated T.
Oh yeah, I think that's the new rating system.
Yeah,
Marvel, because it was an industry standard. It wasn't actually a government thing. It was actually an industry standard. So Marvel left, I think, 2000 or 2001. DC only left the comics code, I think, 2011.
You could leave it.
Yeah, well, it's not a
not a
government
government
thing. No, it's an
social.
industry standard, just to kind of stop regulation. Basically, they were going to internally regulate rather than the government or someone else stepping in.
Okay.
Why is this one only a $1?
Because that is the first issue, and that's from 1963.
Oh.
It's a reprint, by the way, because that
Oh,
would
right.
be worth
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
going to say, that might cost a little
probably
bit more,
worth about the 80-90 grand.
as much as one of your
Who's your
Bitcoins.
favourite character or characters? Top 3.
I don't know. I like the Fantastic Four. I love Ben Grimm.
Fantastic Four. Is that the one that looks like a brick or something?
Yeah, Ben Grimm.
Why do you like them? I saw the film. I thought,
Oh, the films are terrible.
yeah, Silver Sofa or something like that.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Silver
Silver
Surfer.
Sofa.
The fellow on the skateboard.
Yeah.
Oh, the
surfboard.
Hence
Come
the
on,
surfer.
Grandpa.
What did I say?
You said silver sofa.
And what's he on the surf?
Silver Sofa. The lad
Not on
on,
a surfboard, is he?
yeah.
Is that his thing, like on
Yeah.
a
He
surfboard?
flies through the universe. Knows his space on the surfboard.
I like that you find that more incredulous than him being on a skateboard through the universe.
Or a sofa.
I can't remember. I was thinking, is he like a beach guy sort of thing? Is that where he's?
I
something
suppose
happened
that's
in
where
the
it
sea?
came from. They were just like, hey, we haven't had a surfer character there.
But I think it's probably they just
Is
look.
he
Could
stuck
do.
to it? Is it part of his body?
It helps him channel the cosmic energy.
But I saw it. I just thought, this is crap. I don't know what this is.
Oh, the films are
Wasn't
terrible.
any
Yeah,
good? Okay.
the film's terrible.
Why do you like them? Is that more
the
deep,
comics
darker?
I
Yeah.
read not at all actually. In fact, completely the opposite. They are very light, bright, and very old-fashioned. And I read a lot of them when I was very young. A lot of the '60s, early stuff, '60s, '70s, and they were great. I just loved them. They were really.
So who were you reading as like a kid? Like who was there then? Is it the same people I would know? X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men.
Yeah.
X-Men and sort of it was.
Are there any characters that didn't make it that you haven't heard, that I wouldn't have heard of, that were quite big? Have they all been milked now?
No, currently I'm a big fan of Ms. Marvel.
Spelt what?
Not Captain Marvel, but Ms. Marvel.
MISS.
MS Marvel.
What
Ms.
does that
Marvel.
mean?
That's sort of the idea is that you don't, because obviously Mrs. means you belong to the husband. Miss
Yeah.
means you're single, and Ms. is none of your beeswax, essentially.
Oh, really? Ms. It's like ambiguous. Oh, okay.
It's the idea to be that you neither belong, you're neither married, but you can also be married.
Ms.
It's not like a law. It's just how you want to be referred to.
It's
as.
just like lady. It's like lady prefix.
So the idea is being it doesn't matter whether you're married, single. That's not relevant to you. That's just your title. Is the idea.
Yeah, when I used to work at people's houses, I'd say call them Mrs.
Was it burgling those houses, or
The what?
were you burgling these houses?
No.
You mean you were?
Oh, what a stain on my character. No, I was earning my... I did tech... Oh, God, I shouldn't go.
Go on. Let's.
No,
what did
no,
Leo?
no, it's
what
not
did
a bloody
Leo?
thing.
What did Leo do?
It wasn't me. It was a
It was
friend
Leo.
of mine. No, when I was trying to put the magazine together, I had nothing. I had no internet connection.
Until
no
Leo
money.
robbed the house.
No, but I used to do work in people's houses.
Yeah.
Can I say? It doesn't really matter. So one of the ways I had to get through not having money and trying to put a fucking magazine together.
You ate from people's fridge, didn't you?
No, I used to take photographs of their Wi-Fi on their password on their Wi-Fi box, and I used to drive back in the evening with my phone and then do the work with their Wi-Fi. That's how fucking. I've got 30 people working for me.
I've had like I've hung around outside of restaurants sometimes because
Yeah.
I've had to send an email. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Then
sometimes I've been
drop out.
walking up and down like the bank, your South Bank,
Well, that gets me
whatever.
annoyed, and your phone's
With my Wi-Fi, just trying to go right. Who's got an unsecured thing so I can send an email? You know.
So I'd have to do that all the time because I didn't have any money. So I'd put some sandwiches. I'd go back after work at night to try and get as close to the house as I can without getting arrested and trying to run a company.
They're like,
on
isn't
the
that
phone.
dude who was here earlier?
Yeah.
And he's hanging around outside. He's staking the place
I'd always
out.
be. So yeah, that was one of the things. That's not too bad. That was just getting it done again for the greater good. I was stealing.
Yeah, again, that's I'm more in line with that than with like nuking. And
I'm not into nuking. You put that in my mouth.
Massively.
You've created a baddie that isn't here. I'm the good guy. I keep saying it. I'm the good. Nobody understands.
All the villains think they're the hero.
But that's what I was saying to you before. Like, what am I delusional? And would I be a baddie in the eventually?
Yeah.
No, but you're saying that because you just think you're not listening to me.
No,
you're not seeing the good bits. You're just saying no. You are.
Yeah, but
just
you
a
can't.
baddie.
Okay, the thing is, you agree with the Bane.
I don't want
someone.
death at all.
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
that's what I'm saying. You're wrong. But you weren't anti-death initially. You had to think about.
No, but I thought he was killing baddies because I remember
No,
the
he-
church, the court. So I thought he was just getting rid of bad people. You say no, I don't like death. Well, you get rid of the baddies. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, but he's not like taking their money and redistributing it. He's just killing people.
Yeah, I can't remember the story, so I'm maligning myself. But I remember liking it at the time. Him, the blue fella, definitely, and Bane. I thought, no, I agree with everything they're saying.
Fair enough.
Without the death, don't kill. That would have been one of my first lines. Don't kill anyone. So whatever you got to do, but you're not allowed to do that.
No, I get what you're saying because a lot of these heroes are they are defending the weak and they are fighting injustice, but they are also sort of agents of the status quo, aren't they? Ultimately, they're not. I mean, Superman is going out and saving kids from burning buildings and getting cats down from trees, but he's not stopping poverty. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not feeding. He's not giving education or free, or water to.
I can't remember if I was talking
clean
to
water
somebody,
to India or whatever.
or I read something, but it was that thing. If I was Superman, I was fighting, and somebody said this: "Don't fight in a fucking town centre. You're killing people. You're flying
Well,
through
that's the
people."
issue with Man of Steel. Isn't
Well, this is one I had a
It's Man
problem
of
with
Steel.
Man of Steel film.
that
yeah.
was the attempted
Oh,
reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's the thing?
Because in Superman 2, they realised that he cares about
Richard
the people.
Pryor, that one.
No, that was the one
That's
before
Superman
Richard
3.
Pryor. Yeah, but in that one they make a big point about
They go to the moon, don't they?
In
No,
Superman
no,
2.
Superman 4. Sorry, Superman 2. They go to the.
Is that the baddie
Antarctica,
Superman?
Yeah.
But he leads. So he comes to confront them in Metropolis, and he's just fighting with
Who? I
them.
can't remember.
Superman
Yeah.
comes to fight the Kryptonian criminals. So Zod and Ursa and is it Non?
They're
Yes.
the three black dressed in black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the three
Yeah.
baddies. He fights them.
Yeah.
But they're mostly just like trashing buildings.
Yeah,
No
exploding.
one. Nothing gets like a water tower and
Yeah.
a sign and things like that. But then once the baddies start throwing, like vans at him and stuff, and buses with people in and everything.
Right. Okay.
So he's then trying to save them, and
right.
they realise that that's his weakness, and they start
Oh,
deliberately
right.
attacking people,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
he flies
yeah.
away, so
That's
that they'll
good.
come after him.
Yeah.
So in the 1970s,
does
they
do
had
it.
that figured out, but not
Yeah.
in 2000.
Right, yeah.
Because he'd never. Because that's a core fundamental thing.
Okay.
He always do the right thing, always protect people, and never
Yeah,
kill.
but that's me. I would do that. I wouldn't kill people unless you're a baddie. That's the first law. So I don't know why you're saying I'm against it. I'm not. I'm you're not listening. I'm trying to do. Nobody's trying to do anything. I'm trying to do something. You say
No, I think you have positive. You have a positive end goal. It's like I was saying, you have a positive end goal. You want people to.
yeah. Even if I have to die, tough.
To have the best
You just want to
possible
die.
future, whatever possible. It's just we're just quibbling about how to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to deal with some pain. That's what it is. Like with everything I was doing, I thought, fuck it, I've got to give up everything. I've just got to work all night, all day, forever.
Yeah, but my thing is,
Bored,
you always
doesn't
say like, "Oh, let's just get rid of the system." What do you put in? What do you put in?
Well, like
this
I mean,
afternoon.
yeah, you could discuss it, but I would say, for like I said earlier, what you can vote on stuff, but it's not going to be about your town. It could be anywhere.
Yeah.
So you can't. There's no point.
So
you might as well just fall into place to go. Okay,
Yeah.
let's look at this with common sense.
But
That's
where
it.
do they vote?
Yeah.
Where do they vote?
What do you mean where?
So who votes where?
See, that's another thing. I have to make because I was listening to a BBC podcast about overseas and how they were rigging the system. I mean, in the Ukraine, they were like using invisible ink for when people were signing, and the ink was vanishing. Then somebody else was coming along and filling it out and putting it in. I think one of the African countries, they won't even let the plane land. And then said, "Oh, well, he didn't get here on time, so he wasn't vote. You can't vote for him." It was all that. So. You've got to do something. I mean, even when they talk about the electrical system, because most people are lazy, we've got to get over that thing that people aren't voting. Most people aren't fucking
Well,
voting.
in Australia, you get fined.
For not voting? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you should do that.
Yeah.
What is it, 18?
I think it should be 16.
Yeah, it should be some. I'm gonna say 16. You're
No, because if you've got a job, then you're paying taxes.
True.
No representation without taxation. Yes,
I
absolutely.
still 20, but you don't know anything. You're going to vote for fucking Instagram fucking people.
So?
You know, 16,
So what?
you don't-
True. I
So-
mean, if you can leave school, if you can get
I'll
a
meet you
job,
halfway
can
at
get that.
18.
Yeah. 16.
Fascist,
If you can, if you all contribute, if you're able to contribute to society,
No, I know
then
what
you
you're
should
saying,
have a
but that's
stake.
just logically, it doesn't make
you have a
sense,
stake.
though.
If you're able to have a stake in that society, then you should really have a choice.
Should, yeah, but it doesn't
So-
work. You're not that smart when you're that age. You have to.
All-
Get
Most
all
people
16
aren't that
all
smart
16-year-olds.
at 60. You know what I mean?
thing.
Oh, sorry. Mind you,
So
you've
an all
got 40-year-olds.
Then what do you say if someone's older and they
No, I don't.
say, oh, they can't vote?
I'll take it away because I said,
Exactly.
adults are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Idiots.
This is the thing, yeah.
He shouldn't have a vote, even though he's older
Yeah.
than 18. He's not having a vote.
16.
Maybe a test. No, IQ tests are a bit iffy. You can't really.
And
do
then,
that.
this is the thing. You start to.
All right, if you've held down a job for 1 year,
No.
you're not having it before that. You can't say you're 16 and
Well,
you've got to prove your responsibility at some point, even if it's for a year.
No. How do you
What? You just
define-
turned 16, you get to vote.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you
But you
turn
don't know
18 and
anything.
you get to...
Yeah, 18. I said I'll come down to 18.
Well, I know plenty of 40-year-olds who don't know anything and barely put their pants on in the morning.
Yeah.
So...
But I haven't really thought about it that much.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the thing I would say is definitely you've got to take out you doing something and being able to get something back for that vote. Get rid of that. Whether it's vote for something.
You're talking about people's human nature, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. So that's the problem. That's what everything falls into. If I have to vote and I don't know if I'm going to get anything back from that and I can't be influenced because there's no point, it's all random, you will vote with common sense as long as it's nothing that can be associated to you. So if we say Wales, I don't know, 10 being Wales votes for something in North London,
Well, the only thing I would say is...
you go, there's the money for that town.
But
Doesn't
then
matter where it is.
you
wouldn't
could
know
still abuse that though, because then like Wales voting for something in North
But
London.
they don't know.
They'd be like, well, maybe North London can vote for something for Wales.
No,
And
but
you
that's
get
what I'm
this
saying.
quid pro quo
No, but
kind
that's what
of
I'm
thing.
just saying.
So
It
there
has-
will always be
no.
abuses.
It's not about somebody else. You can't know. So there's no point. Because then you just get somebody that live there and all that sort of stuff. You say, there's a town in England, this is the allotted money, 80% of the money. Here's their problems. Here's what they're struggling with. Where do we put this money? The second you know anything, you're liable to be for influence. The idea is you can't not know where this is. You know trash, you know schools, you know school. You say, they're the problems here. This is what we have to do. This is money we need. People will just go, there's no point trying to influence them because they don't know where this is. So you just vote with common sense like most people do. But the second you can be influenced, pressure comes at you and says, well, don't do that. This is better for you, that. Or
I think you're just always going to think, what would I want? Not just what...
No, I don't think that. But it's at least it's better. If you just think about what it is now, it's just pure fucking corruption. So just do anything better and see how that works. But that's what I'm... So can we end on a good bit? Who's...
What other comics... So obviously the big ones are DC and Marvel, but
Yeah.
you do have things like Image, or that is that part of DC?
Image is an offshoot of DC.
But it was creator owned for a while, wasn't it? Is that right?
Yes. No. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You like the Vicar of Dibley guy?
Yeah. No. Yes. Yeah. Well, Image was a new brand, and it was all these top Marvel guys. They wanted more creative rights, more creative freedom, and more royalties for their own creations. Fair enough. They went off and formed their own label, as it were, and created a whole bunch of characters that no one cares about or remembers, like dozens of them.
Who's your favourite?
Hundreds and hundreds.
Batman.
Well, out of the main...
Yeah, Batman.
Yeah,
Like
probably Batman, just
Batman.
because...
Save people and let it all burn.
But also,
carry
there's also... Oh, shut up. There's no there's no stakes in it, though, in Superman, because I'm just like, well, it's kryptonite or magic, who cares?
Well,
There's
I didn't
things
get
that
with the
can defeat him.
Avengers. If everyone's indestructible, they're just throwing each other around. So what's the point? No one's getting hurt here.
Well, I mean, they do in Endgame.
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
They do, yeah. Is there a type of
Infinity
kryptonite?
War as well has
Yeah,
quite a high body count.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Has half the universe, and
It was like with the
gets killed.
Terminators. They started off punching each other and killing people instantly. Then they just started throwing each other around.
Yeah.
Like, go, why don't you kill him? He's in front of him. I'll throw him over there and go and get him later. We'll kill him now. No, I'll
Yeah.
go over there and throw him backwards.
Well, this
Well,
is what
kill him
is
or
the
not.
issue with the Captain Marvel films is that straight off she's. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, having
I haven't
established a
seen. That's the
weakness,
woman.
It's yeah.
Oh, is that Captain Marvel? The woman?
Yeah.
the new Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so they've made her a woman.
No, that was that. Do you remember when we were saying about how Shazam was originally Captain Marvel, and then
Well, Captain Marvel was originally a dude.
yeah, and then there was a Captain Marvel who was
woman.
a man. and then they've done.
As I said, we could just talk about this for about 3 hours. It's so complicated, like the copyright and all the things.
Okay.
With it. It's insanely complicated.
Back where we started.
Back to Viz.
Yeah,
because I quite like most of the comics I get regularly are Image ones. So
Okay.
I did go through Chew, which I thought.
Okay.
Kind of weird. The ending was a bit like, and what else am I reading now? East of West, which is very weird.
Yeah.
There's been one. I was a bit annoyed. There was one because I collect them as a sort of trade paperback one, so collected kind of issues.
Oh, and Saga.
Saga, I do like.
Saga's
They've
cool,
ended up. Yeah, Saga's brilliant. East of West went through. They had one sort of really filler one. I was like, I'm not sure I'll stick with this, but then they've come back, and I'm like, okay, fine, we're back now. And the other one is Black Science, which is a sort of twisted version of Quantum Leap.
Ooh,
So it's quite good,
got
actually.
into comics. How much were they like, at the time?
I don't really know because
Pennies?
I don't collect them as these kind of. Yeah, I mean, they're, I guess, what, 25 cents, 50 cents?
Yes, I mean the Action Comics #1 I think was 10 cents, and that's now
I
going
remember
for $1.5
looking
million.
Some old stuff I had from when I was a kid. I used to draw some stuff. I couldn't draw, but I was just drawing some stuff. And if you saw it now, like you
Worth
go
millions.
No, you would go, fuck. Like, there's some issues there. There was like people with decapitated heads and the moon behind them, and a werewolf ripping somebody's throat out and all that. That was what I drew. And and then there was like Count Duckula and The Simpsons next to it. And I thought, fuck, I could bring them in one day and show you. Go, but that's what I drew at that time. You go,
I still want to do like a
sociopath.
Leo the early years podcast.
Yeah, we'll have to get in touch with him and see if we can.
See if we can
Get some more stories.
So that's it. So, do you feel like we covered the history of it?
Yeah, I think
did all right.
Kind of did, yeah, it was a bit
Deviated
in
a
our
few
usual
times.
inimitable.
Yeah.
Shotgun approach.
We took a bit of a detour there along the way, but
in how we were going to remake the world.
Yeah, that was all right.
in different ways. But yes,
There you go.
comic book movies are dominating the box office,
Hit
and may they reign for 1,000 years.
Yeah, why not?
Fair enough.
Hail Bane.
Good lord.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Have a good one. Bye.